with bad motives from bad organizations. Jackie Quinn, Washington.
A top lawmaker is disputing a claim that the military didn't do enough to help the Americans killed in Benghazi. Jerry Bodlander has the details.
House Armed Services Committee Chairman Howard Buck McKeon says General Robert Lovell didn't, quote, serve in a capacity that gave him reliable insight into operational options available to commanders the night of the attack. Lovell, who monitored the attack at Africa Command headquarters, told a House panel the military didn't do enough to stop it. McKeon has in the past said the military did all it could. He says an investigation by his committee found nothing to indicate the State Department delayed a decision to deploy the few resources it had in the region. Jerry Bodlander, Capitol Hill.
The government has released the names of 55 schools facing federal Title IX investigations for the way they handle sexual abuse allegations by their students. Ed Donahue explains.
Ohio State is on the list. So is Cal Berkeley and Arizona State, as well as Ivy League schools Harvard, Princeton, and Dartmouth. The government emphasized this is about investigations of complaints, not judgments. Title IX prohibits gender discrimination at schools that receive federal funds. Some students at Harvard complained of being subjected to a sexually hostile environment. The school says it has taken steps to foster prevention efforts and to support students who have experienced sexual misconduct. Ed Donahue, Washington.
New York has reached what could be a precedent-setting labor deal with public school teachers. Warren Levinson has the details.
After working without a contract since 2009, New York City school teachers have reached tentative agreement with the city on a new 9-year pact. The deal calls for 2% annual raises plus some money for the 5 years teachers went without a contract. Mayor Bill de Blasio says the city can afford it.
This agreement is entirely funded within the city's current budget framework.
Negotiation has been closely watched because it may set a pattern for others. More than 100 public employee unions have been working without contracts, in part because the last mayor, Michael Bloomberg, insisted the city could not afford retroactive raises. Warren Levinson, New York.
And that's the news. For Radio VR in Washington, I'm Rick Young.
This program is brought to you by FreeKeene.com. FreeKeene.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. FreeKeene.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. FreeKeene.com.
Today's most popular video games take place in dangerous post-apocalyptic landscapes. But are these games doing enough to prepare our kids for the actual post-apocalyptic future we will all soon face?
Well, I think these games are quite effective at teaching our kids skills like finding shotgun ammo and leading elite squads of super soldiers.
But these aren't the advanced skills that they're going to need. They're going to need the more practical skills like how to find drinking water by collecting the morning dew in human skulls.
Or how to deal with depression when the sun is blocked out for 500 years by a cloud of radioactive dust.
Absolutely. Now, that's the type of knowledge these kids are going to need when their world has been turned into a brutal hellscape.
But these kids said that they know how to find items to barter at weapon shops and how to use medicine packs to heal zombie bites.
The games make it all seem deceptively simple. I mean, in the future, a kid's not going to be able to kill a 6-foot-long irradiated beetle just by pressing a few buttons, and he's going to have to get down there with an axe and hack and hack and hack.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. Bring up anything here. It's toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And Skype on into the show at username LRN.FM. With you tonight in studio, it's Ian here.
Ellen.
And Daryl.
Ellen's here courtesy of ALP. We'll talk more about that. There's some big changes afoot with ALP. We'll explain a little bit later on what that's all about. Big news to start the show out with tonight, and it's not good news. And it's being reported in various different places. Newsweek, Reason.com, CBS. It's all over the place that New York City has enacted a ban on e-cigarettes.
New York City seems to be banning something about every other month.
If I recall correctly, when they banned cigarettes, like you can't even smoke them in most outdoor places now. Like, I've heard stories of employees taking their cigarette breaks and they have to take a walk around the block. They can't stand in one spot or even go to public parks anymore.
I've heard of people getting ticketed for smoking a cigarette in their automobile because there was a child in the car.
From Gothamist.com, at 12:01 this morning, it became illegal to use e-cigarettes in New York City. Anywhere traditional cigarettes are banned. According to a story over at CBS Local, wait, that's not the right story. According to a story over at News 12 out of Brooklyn, places where e-cigarettes are banned now include bars, restaurants, beaches, and parks. Now, of course, the old idea of banning cigarettes was that you wanted to protect people in an enclosed space from encountering secondhand smoke. And we know from information that has come out over the years that the EPA study that was done on secondhand smoke that is frequently cited as the reason why it's so dangerous, that it was falsified, essentially, that it was bunk, and that there really isn't any measurable problem with secondhand smoke whatsoever as far as causing cancer. And there's certainly no evidence that secondhand vapor is in any way a dangerous object. So,
right.
But it doesn't matter.
No, see, what it is, Ian, we have to make sure that the cops don't accidentally go up and harass somebody for using an e-cig thinking that it's a regular cigarette, because the motions appear the same.
It does look the same.
And we can't confuse the cops because they're too busy having to stop and frisk people to pay attention that, oh, that light is blue, not red. It must be an e-cig, not a regular cigarette.
Right. It's hard to say that this is even a safety concern because there's really no safety issue with the vapor that comes out. It's mostly water vapor.
Right. Now, normally when this has happened, and it has begun happening in more places, the e-cigarette ban, that is, I believe LA's already got theirs. When it happens, the typical reason given from the banners is that they're worried that the children are going to start using e-cigarettes, and therefore the children will then move from e-cigarettes and upgrade to regular cigarettes.
On. Ian, remember when we were kids and it was the candy cigarettes? We
Yes.
can't sell candy cigarettes anymore because it will get the children in the habit of doing this motion, and then they'll wind up buying tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about living by example and not using anything that's cigarette shaped. It's almost as like the gun ban. Like if you're caught with a water gun in school, you could be suspended for that because it's similar to a gun.
Or if you form your fingers like this and move your thumb in such a motion and say bang, bang, oh, well, you just violated the gun ban. You now get suspended.
It's happened.
It's really sad to see that like paranoia can lead to this sort of restriction on people's freedoms, especially when it's something that's not even a health concern in any way, shape, or form.
Well, so there's a little bit of good news on this terrible news in general, and it comes from Reason.com. I want to get to that because there's been some civil disobedience now as a result of this. But first, here's an update from Gothamist, which has a little bit more detail on what happened. So what was the discussion that transpired about this? The final vote, by the way, 43-8. So overwhelming. The New York aldermen or council members or whatever they're called voted for this ban. So, according to the story here at Gothamist, during a contentious city council hearing 2 weeks ago, e-cigarette advocates heckled Health Commissioner Dr. Thomas Farley and the bill's primary sponsor, Councilmember James Gennaro, for claiming that bartenders would have a tough time distinguishing e-cigs from their traditional counterparts, and for urging the passage of the bill despite the dearth of evidence, that means there's no evidence, on the health effects of e-cigarettes, or virtually no evidence. I tried to give both sides an opportunity to be heard, but every study provided by one side is countered by the other side, which shows the exact opposite thing, said Councilmember Peter Vallone Jr. Vallone had shown some sympathy for e-cigarette users at the hearing, noting that some of his staff members use them to quit smoking, but he ultimately voted in favor of the bill yesterday. You heard the commissioner say it. We just don't know enough right now to allow them to be smoked in restaurants and other similar places.
Now, in some places, there are rules in place that say that if you ever want to repeal a city ordinance, you had to have voted in favor of the ordinance in order to introduce a bill to repeal it.
Okay.
So I wonder if some of the 43 people that voted for this thing did so only so that they could sponsor a repeal of it later.
That would be a very political move, and it wouldn't be unsurprising if somebody had that level of sort of political machination in mind. But even so, it's going to be pretty tough to turn around 43 votes and 43 people voting against this to turn that around.
But if it was, let's just say that 12 of the people that voted for it did so knowing at some point in the future I want to overturn this thing.
Wow, you think that many of them would do that?
I don't know. I'm just pulling a number out of my rear.
Wouldn't it be easier to just vote no in the beginning, so that way you didn't have to repeal it later?
No, because then that's why I'm using the number 12.
They want to be a hero.
Because then that would be 20, so it would still wind up passing, 31 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
So if those, just assuming that 12 people did this for the reason of at some point in the future, let's, repeal this thing, then they could then work on some of the others that supported it. Because, again, just assuming that 12 people were on the fence, and I'll go ahead and support it.
There's no evidence whatsoever to assume that.
There's not, but based on the quote from the one guy that seemed sympathetic and then wind up turning, I'm just going to assume that at least one person was on the fence and might be saying,
okay,
I'll go ahead and support it so that I can try to repeal it later.
And then look like the hero of the vape community for changing his mind and trying to repeal it and failing?
No, because, again, let's just assume that 12 people were on the fence and decided...
Seems far-fetched, but okay.
It is, but let's just, play a thought experiment here. So 12 plus the 8 that voted against is 20. So 20 to 31 would have been the spread. You only need to convince 6 of the 31 people.
Mm-hmm.
Again, assuming that 12 people...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think the politicians are that smart. Daryl, you're a brilliant political strategist and analyst, and maybe there are certainly some scheming politicians out there who would have some sort of
there are a bunch of scheming politicians.
But on the other hand, it seems to me that politicians are more interested in controlling people than coming out as like the bastion of freedom that was wrong at first, but now they've changed their mind and they're going to do the right thing. And certainly,
I don't think any of them are going to try saying, I'm the hero of freedom. I'm just saying that it's possible that some of the people that supported it did so because there's a rule in place that you have to support something in order to try to repeal it later.
Which you don't really even know if that rule is in place.
I don't know if that rule is in place in New York City.
Yeah.
But I know that it is in a lot of communities around the country.
So back to the story over at Gothamist.com, the council member, he says, we just don't know enough right now to allow them to be smoked in restaurants and other similar places. Well, first of all, they're not smoked, they're vaped. There's no smoke involved, sir. I think you would have figured that out after having multiple hearings. And then also, who cares if you know enough about them? Why are you in charge of the individual and their lungs and their body as to whether or not they can put something in their body? We'll come back with more here in moments. 855-450-FREE. Are you in New York City? What do you think?
Hi, I'm Lynn, and I am totally blind. Like many who are totally blind, I have non-24, a circadian rhythm disorder that can put your sleep-wake cycle out of sync with the 24-hour day. But I found out there's a new treatment available for non-24. It's called Hetlioz Tazimiltian, the first FDA-approved treatment for non-24.
The most common side effects of Hetlioz include headache, elevated liver enzymes, nightmares or abnormal dreams, and upper respiratory or urinary tract infection. These may occur more often in patients 65 or older. It may cause drowsiness, so limit your activity to preparing for bed. Hetlioz has not been studied, and it is not recommended for use in pregnant women, children, or people with severe liver problems. To learn more and to hear the full prescribing information, visit Hetlioz.com or call 844-241-2424. That's 844-241-2424. Hetlioz
is now available for non-24. Talk to your doctor today.
Sponsored by Vanda Pharmaceuticals.
On the average, Americans work between 45 to 50 years, hoping to build up enough wealth to retire and live out their golden years. Unfortunately, with taxation, the rising cost of food, energy, housing, and medical, many retirees are forced to live below the poverty line. Is this a flaw of free enterprise, or is our monetary unit we call the Federal Reserve Note forcing us into perpetual debt, ensuring inflation and higher taxes? These questions and more can be answered by reading G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Congressman Ron Paul states it's what every American needs to know about central bank power. A gripping adventure into the secret world of international banking cartel. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I will give a silver dollar from the early 1900s to anyone who purchases this book. Call 1-800-686-2237 and order a copy today. It's critical that the public be made aware of the system. Call and order your copy today at 1-800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.
If you are like most people, chances are you're malnourished. Most people do not get the 90 essential nutrients the body needs to survive. This lack of nutrition can lead to all sorts of health issues. If you don't feel as good as you'd like, or if you're looking to get a jump start on a new, healthier you, Youngevity has your answer. With the Healthy Start Pack, you get all the nutrients your body needs. With all 90 essential nutrients and 115 fruits and vegetables, you get a supplement system that is antioxidant rich and beyond compare. The Healthy Start Pack includes products backed by 40 years of science and millions of dollars in research, like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, EFA Plus 90, and OsteoFX Plus. To order your Healthy Start Pack today, call 607-739-5595. Again, that number is 607-739-5595. Once you start taking the Healthy Start Pack, you will see and feel why our motto is 90 for life.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308. Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial ever since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves here, toll free. 855-450-FREE. Maybe you're in New York City and you've got some comments on the e-cigarette ban. Has gone into effect as of yesterday, I believe, or the 30th, maybe it was, but within the last couple of days. It's brand new. There's some good news about it, but most of the news is bad, that the use of e-cigarettes has now been banned from all the same places that the use of a cigarette has been banned, including bars, restaurants, beaches, and parks. You cannot be outdoors in a public park and use an e-cigarette.
Now, I remember I was in San Diego visiting some family a few years ago when the city of San Diego did a thing on banning cigarettes at the beach. And the reason had nothing to do with, secondhand smoke at the beach.
The litter.
Litter. People are going to litter. And
they will.
Well, who's going to enforce this no smoking at the beach ban? Oh, well, it's just going to be self-regulated. But if a lifeguard sees somebody with a cigarette, he'll issue them a ticket.
Yeah. So, give you more on the story here in a moment. Also want to invite you, if you love freedom, to New Hampshire. As part of the Free State Project, there are a number of people who are right now planning a leave from New York State and New York City, as well as other oppressive places around the globe, and making the move here, as the three of us have done, to New Hampshire, as part of the Free State Project, there are a lot of great places in New Hampshire that you can make your destination. Some people move into the Manchester area, the kind of the big city. We moved out to Keene, which is on the west side of New Hampshire. And then, of course, a number of people moved to the seacoast. Some moved to small towns. Some moved to the middle of nowhere. We've got it all here. But the real reason to move here is not just to escape a bad place, but to get to a place where there's actually a community of people who care about freedom. That's the idea behind the Free State Project, to bring 20,000 liberty-loving people all to the same geographic area. We've got over 15,500 so far that have signed up. Over 1,500 are already here as early movers to New Hampshire, people that are getting things done, people that are getting elected. They're changing things for the better slowly over time here in New Hampshire, and we can accelerate that process with your help. So go to freestateproject.org to learn more about it and join us for the Porcupine Freedom Festival coming up June 22nd through the 29th in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. It's camping. It's all kinds of fun. There's dances, social events, speakers, panels. It's kind of got a do-it-yourself theme this year.
You're giving a presentation, aren't you?
Yes, I have for the past couple of years given a pirate radio and two-way radio presentation. So I'll be one of the presenters at PorcFest. And as I say, Free Talk Live will be there live every single night. So don't miss it. June 22nd through the 29th. You're going to love it if you come up. Even if you can just make the weekend, come up for the weekend. This is a full week-long event. You don't want to miss PorcFest 2014. PorcFest.com. Back to the story from Gothamist, talking about the discussion that was had between the people who wanted to ban the e-cigarettes. They were successful. The measure has passed the full city council 43-8. And the one of the councilors who voted for it, he initially had considered voting against it, considering he actually knows people who've cited e-cigarettes as their reason for quitting smoking.
So it's helped them out, and he's still going against it.
It's absolutely outrageous. I mean, you would think if somebody actually knew humans. I mean, it could be one thing to be a completely ignorant individual and not having, talked to people who have used vaporizers, not know a thing about them, and then just ignorantly say, well, they look like cigarettes, and vote against it. But this guy knew better. He knew that people had improved their health through the use of this device, through the use of the e-cigarette to quit smoking cigarettes, yet he still voted in favor of the ban from all places where regular cigarettes are banned, he says, because they don't know enough.
Well, I wonder if there's an ulterior motive here. Because in New York, they do tax cigarettes a lot. Like an excise tax in New York State is $4.35 per pack. And then in New York City, the local excise tax is $1.50.
Even
so
more, yep.
It's like $5.85 per pack.
Taxes.
Yes, in taxes.
So you're looking at over $10 per pack for whatever it is you're buying.
Exactly. And
some higher than that.
And there's no taxes on e-cigs. So maybe that has something to do with it?
You know what? That absolutely has something to do with it, and that's an interesting point to make here. I don't know if any of the coverage of this story has really ferreted that detail out, because they know that the vice taxes, as they are called, are big money for the state. That's why New Hampshire, state government in New Hampshire, sells hard liquor, because they know that vice is a good business to be in, because people are going to keep coming back for more, and then they can just rake in the tax money. So New York City bureaucrats know that if it's true, and it certainly seems to be true, that e-cigarettes can help people quit smoking, that's not a good thing. They don't actually want people to quit smoking.
I also think it's interesting the argument that is being made of, well, we just don't know enough.
Yes.
It's the same thing that was said back in the 70s about cannabis. We just don't know enough, so we have to keep it. We have to keep it Schedule 1. We have to keep it listed as the most dangerous substance on the planet because we just don't know enough.
Well, e-cigs have been around for a few years, and like the main components of them are just nicotine and water vapor. And nicotine itself isn't it's poisonous in large amounts, but in small amounts, there's really not much of a health effect. So I don't know why they would be banning it. Like if they're citing they don't know enough, as in like it could be a potential health hazard. I just don't think that that's like a fair argument for them to be making.
The bill's opponents, some of them puffing e-cigarettes in the galley, claim that the product's primary purpose is to help smokers quit. E-cigarette executives from Enjoy, Lorillard, and Logic Also testified against the bill, former Surgeon General and current NJOY board member Dr. Richard Carmona submitted written testimony panning the bill, and again sent letters to the city council this week restating his position. So you got a former Surgeon General here who is saying, look, these things are helping people get well again. They're helping people cut down on the amount of smoke entering into their lungs. That can only be a good thing. But no, they're going to go ahead and ban them anyway. Following the hearing, a Times op-ed from 2 Columbia professors voiced support for the e-cigarettes, and Joe Nocera all but embraced NJOY's corporate philosophy to make combustible cigarettes obsolete. Electronic cigarettes are an unregulated product that threaten to turn back the important gains we as a city have made in the last decade, and to denormalize the act of smoking and to maintain a clean air environment to live, work, and play. That's from the sponsor of the bill, Councilman Gennaro. Julie Wassner, the spokesman for the Consumer Advocates for Smoke-Free Alternatives, warned the bill could provoke smokers to switch back to combustible cigarettes. She said, in citing a study from Drexel University, that, quote, banning the use of e-cigarettes in public places does not further public health and, in fact, would actually work against the interests of public health by discouraging smokers from using smoke-free e-cigarettes, which pose an estimated 1% of the risk of smoking. Now think about that. If people are leaving the bar to go outside to then use an e-cigarette, why won't they just go ahead and smoke cigarettes again? Because I know there are a number of people who use the e-cigarette because it's more convenient, because it gets around the smoking bans. So a lot of people will make the argument that they prefer a regular cigarette to an e-cigarette because of the throat hit. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm not a cigarette smoker. But that says to me that if all things are equal, many people will go back to a cigarette. 855-450-FREE. You can share your experience with the e-cigarette and the bans of them on Free Talk Live.
You've been lied to by corrupt Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine. My name is Brett Kitchen, and I want to give you a free copy of my Inc. magazine best-selling book, Safe Money Millionaire, because Wall Street's 401k and other investment plans have failed millions of Americans. After losing 35% in my IRA in the crash several years ago, I said enough. Since then, I've discovered an IRS-approved way to safely grow my money up to 12 to even 17%, cut taxes dramatically, but also have my money protected when the next crash comes. Call now to talk with a specialist to discover this little-known strategy to potentially build $1 million tax-free retirement income. Get potential 12 to 17% returns and never lose when the next crash hits. Call 888-885-8820 and discover this tool that people like Walt Disney and J.C. Penney used to safely grow rich. Plus, get one of just 97 free books left. We even cover shipping and handling. Call 888-885-8820. 888-885-8820. Again, that's 888-885-8820.
Free Press Publications is an independent alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary at fpp.cc, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc, and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
There's a treasure hunt going on at mathgate.info, a Bitcoin treasure hunt. You can find Bitcoins by proving theorems. So, learn some logic, do some math, find some Bitcoins. Even better, mathgate.info is designed to be used anonymously. So, connect to mathgate.info through Tor, prove some theorems, find some anonymous Bitcoins. Don't wait, others are already searching for the Bitcoins. Go to mathgate.info today and join the treasure hunt. There are anonymous Bitcoins to be had for the taking at mathgate.info.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want here, especially if you're somebody who thinks e-cigarettes are dangerous, think they should be banned. You think they should be banned everywhere that regular cigarettes are banned. Apparently, that's what the New York City Council thinks. They've gone ahead and put that ban into effect. There has been some civil disobedience, and we'll tell you about that coming up here in a moment. I want to also let you know about a merchant app. If you are somebody who's running a physical location of a store of some sort, some kind of point of sale where customers can come and purchase things from you, then maybe you've been looking for a way to make it easy for your customers to buy things with Bitcoin. And you can go to blockchain.com to get the merchant app. It's brand new from Blockchain. You know Blockchain, they've got a good name. They got a great name in the Bitcoin business. We've been talking about blockchain.info for quite a long time here on Free Talk Live as the kind of the premier online wallet that you can go and get one for free at blockchain.info. But blockchain.com, same company, the .com site is the site for business. So the blockchain.info wallet, that's for your personal wallet. Blockchain.com is a merchant wallet that you can use, you can have your employees use to accept payments, not send, but to accept payments from your customers. Very cool, and there's no terms of service. So when you go and you get this app, you just go get the app. There's no ID requirements, no TOS. You just go and get it, and you can accept Bitcoin safely, securely, and for free with this new app for your smartphone or tablet running Android software, blockchain.com. So we continue here with news about New York City joining the short list at this point of cities, but expect that list to get longer. Because as goes California, as goes New York City, so do a lot of other places. There are a number of bureaucrats, busybodies out there who are eyeing these cities very interested. They're very interested in knowing what happens in New York City. Are they going to get away with this ban of e-cigarettes? Well, there's all the evidence to say they will because other cities thus far have done so.
Well, and there's also a lot of people that flee places like New York and California.
Yep.
And then they wind up realizing that they missed the tyranny, and so they bring it with them.
It's true. Hopefully we'll get more of the good people coming from New York to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project. But already, Albany, New York, that's the state capital, is now considering the very same thing. State lawmakers, according to nypost.com, believe that if e-cigarette vapor is bad for New York City, it's also no good for Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo. In an effort to crack down on the vaping craze, the legislature is set to follow in the Big Apple's footsteps and ban e-cigarettes from public places, according to backers of the bill. We want the same restrictions for e-cigarettes as regular cigarettes, said Senator Kemp Hannon who represents Nassau County and is chairman of the Senate Health Committee. Joining in Hannon's fight to curb e-cig use is Assemblywoman Linda Rosenthal from Manhattan, who said she personally felt nauseous when someone smoked an e-cigarette in her presence.
Oh goodness, she felt nauseous. Was it mental anguish that she was feeling?
All that freedom being exhibited in front of her.
It's so messed up to me that people are watching for New York and California's decision and like deciding what they're going to do based on that, because they're trying. I don't know if the idea is to keep people from giving in to the peer pressure of seeing other people smoke e-cigarettes, because that's supposedly a lead-in to like smoking actual cigarettes. But it's like it's another form of peer pressure, basically.
I don't know. I saw somebody eating a Baby Ruth in public yesterday, and I just had this craving for a Baby Ruth candy bar, and we just can't have that. We need to ban eating tasty things in public because you might encourage fat people to go eat candy bars.
Or someone might feel nauseous. I mean, just watching someone eat a candy bar could be a disgusting thing for somebody. We don't want people to feel uncomfortable in public.
Oh, wait, no, I've got it. There are people that are allergic to peanuts.
It's true, very allergic.
So we can't have any candy bar with peanuts eaten in public out of public safety and concern.
Well, sometimes
for the people that are allergic to peanuts.
Sometimes when I'm driving, I hear other people's music playing in their car. I don't like that.
That's
Sometimes
obnoxious.
They're playing terrible music. We should have a ban on how loud music can be played in public.
They actually have bans like that in a lot of places.
Probably in New York City, as a matter of fact. E-cigarettes, according to the story here. She said, this is the woman who felt nauseous. She says, smokers' rights end when they start affecting non-smokers. Look, lady, they're not smoking anything. And let's just go ahead and get that clear. We're talking about vaporizing. I know it kind of looks like smoking, but there's not actually any kind of flame. There's no heat involved, at least not any significant amount of heat. There's, I guess, heat within the device, but not heat that you could burn yourself with.
Regardless, it's just ridiculous to claim that somebody's actions are like a direct result of somebody else's, and it's not their own personal decision.
We're just going to have to go ahead and ban chewing on a pen in public, because a lot of people they'll chew on their ink pens.
Oh yeah.
Let's go ahead and ban that, because then it looks like either smoking a cigarette or playing with an e-cig. So we need to just go ahead and ban that as well.
So supporters of the ban on e-cigarettes say the state should step in because the devices have not been regulated by the Federal Drug Administration. But guess what? The FDA just last week has proposed that it will begin regulating vapor devices.
Of course they will.
So let me go to the good news about this, because there's plenty of bad news about smoking, or rather the e-cigarette bans. Reason.com has a short video up on their Reason.tv channel on YouTube, and they also have the text of the video here. E-cigarettes are just as important for public health as childhood vaccines, antibiotics, sewer treatment, and water treatment, says anti-smoking activist Bill Godshall of Smoke Free Pennsylvania, and it's one of the craziest situations because public health authorities want to ban them. On April 28, 2014, Reason, the Museum of Sex, and Henley Vaporium co-hosted a party to celebrate how e-cigarettes are saving lives, and to flout a ridiculous new law in New York that bans their use in many public places. E-cigarettes, which are battery-powered devices that replace carcinogenic smoke with water vapor, have proven to be remarkably effective at helping habitual smokers quit tobacco cigarettes. While we don't know yet if e-cigarettes have any long-term adverse health consequences, it's highly unlikely that they're as dangerous as regular smokes. Simple common sense would tell us that inhaling their ingredients as compared to inhaling the thousands of chemicals from tobacco combustion, that is, the smoke, is highly likely to be less harmful, writes Dr. Gilbert Ross of the American Council on Science and Health. But who needs all this evidence about how vapor is less harmful than smoke? Federal regulators are determined to severely limit the use of e-cigarettes. In 2009, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, attempted to block their sale altogether, but a federal judge intervened. On April 24, 2014, the FDA proposed regulations that would require e-cigarette manufacturers to obtain the agency's approval for each of their products. Now, guess what that's going to do?
Taxation?
increase the cost.
Sure will. In fact, it's a process that Ross, one of the experts, the doctor from the American Council on Science and Health, estimates could cost over $1 million. No, that's per product. So if the company offers more than one vaporizing product, they are going to have to go through that approval process for every product that they offer. So it's going to be a lot more than $1 million for a lot of these companies. And that would likely drive the small players out of business, which, by the way, in the e-cigarette industry, it's the smaller players that apparently dominate the field, unlike the big boys like the Philip Morrises of the world.
So I wonder what's going to happen in the future after e-cigarettes are banned and more people turn to regular cigarettes, and then there's a large increase in death rates because of lung cancer or something. Is this going to come back and bite them?
No, of course not.
They're not going to reconsider their actions? I feel like this is too obvious.
At that point, I mean, the politicians have no, and nothing ever comes back to bite a politician unless they get caught in an affair or something like that. So later on down the line, the politicians who pass this thing will be out of office, and of course, cigarettes are killing a bunch of people right now. So if they manage to successfully ban e-cigarettes, there probably won't be a significant shift in the numbers since a lot of people just aren't going to switch. 855-450-FREE. We'll tell you more about the civil disobedience side of the story coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
All right, hold on. We got to interrupt the regularly scheduled stuff for just a minute. I've got to tell you about this because it's weird. It'll make sense. What if I told you that eating this one weird spice could actually help you reverse diabetes? I know, it's crazy, right? Well, if you or somebody you care about has diabetes or pre-diabetes or metabolic syndrome, you've got to check out this video. It's free. You may have heard about this. People who've tried it say that they've been able to normalize their blood sugar, stop taking their diabetes meds, and their doctors are all for it. So what is it? What's behind this? Well, the company says it's a natural, drug-free approach to reversing diabetes, and they say that it works in as little as 4 weeks, and it all starts with this one weird kitchen spice you probably have in your kitchen right now. So you should check out the free video and see for yourself. It's at WeirdSpice55.com. So write that down. It's WeirdSpice55.com. WeirdSpice55.com.
Imagine an acne treatment breakthrough that even Proactive says is better than Proactive. Announcing all new Proactive Plus, the revolutionary new way to clear your skin from the #1 name in acne care. Proactive Plus is our best, most effective solution ever. And when you call 1-800-721-4255 today, you can have it tomorrow. Proactive Plus is the modern acne miracle that treats your skin beautifully. The plus means more precise, targeted medicine for faster, gentler acne prevention, and more skin-loving solutions so your complexion can look bright and beautiful.
I am just so happy with Proactive Plus. I don't think my skin has ever looked this good.
Call 1-800-721-4255. Be one of the first to try Proactive Plus. Guaranteed 100% risk-free. You won't see this limited time offer on TV. It's a radio exclusive. 1-800-721-4255. 1-800-721-4255.
Copblock.org/pivothead. To ensure that a record of the truth of police interactions exists and is accessible, we each need to film. That's why we're happy to announce the Accountability Through Transparency video contest, the winner of which will receive a pair of Pivot Head sunglasses. For more information and to submit your video entry, go to copblock.org/pivothead. 1. Document with a camera a police employee exhibiting double standards or the standards we expect them to live up to. This can be done while on foot, during a vehicle stop, while submitting an open records request, etc. 2. Upload your video to your YouTube channel. 3. Fill out the form at copblock.org/pivothead by the deadline of midnight Eastern Standard Time, May 23rd, 2014. 4. The winner, chosen by contest sponsors, will be notified by email, and the Pivot Head sunglasses will be shipped once a mailing address is received. Copblock.org/pivothead.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Have you ever wanted to move to the land of Libpair? Libertarian paradise, where there's fun for everyone that doesn't initiate force on others, fun for the kids, parties for the adults, buy and sell in silver or Bitcoin, scenic hikes and gun shoots, speeches to educate us all. The Porcupine Freedom Festival is Libpair in the White Mountains of New Hampshire for a week this summer, June 22nd to 29th. Get your tickets now before there's no more room. Porkfest, the event of a lifetime. Porkfest.com. That's PORCFEST.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. Just dial in toll free. 855-450-FREE, especially if you're in New York. And I don't just mean New York City, where e-cigarettes are now banned in every single place that regular cigarettes are banned. And I actually have the list of places where regular cigarettes are banned, just to give you some idea of the scope and how absolutely outrageous and ridiculous these politicians are. We'll give you that here in a moment. Also, take your calls if you make them at 855-450-FREE. Don't forget, we've got Skype. You can Skype on into the show at username LRN.FM. As we continue here, I want to let you know about our website. You can go to freetalklive.com, and you can grab archives. We've got a bunch of them. You can just click and download as many episodes of Free Talk Live as you like that go back for years, all the way back to late 2006 for our audio archives. Video archives are also now available through our YouTube channel. So go to freetalklive.com for our audio archives, and go to youtube.freetalklive.com. For the YouTube channel, and we put up YouTube videos pretty much every night. There was some technical difficulties where we missed a couple nights recently, but they're back. Everything's okay there now. So again, go to freetalklive.com and grab some archives. As we continue here, the story out of New York, a little bit of good news about the smoking ban and now the e-cigarette ban, which literally just went into effect a couple days ago. I'm going to play some of the audio here from the Reason.com, Reason TV piece. This is them interviewing some people who are at a party that was thrown by by Reason Magazine, the Museum of Sex, and Henley Vaporium. They came together at the Museum of Sex to have a party where people bring their vaporizing equipment, and then at the stroke of midnight, when this new law went into effect, they engaged in civil disobedience.
Oh my goodness.
I wonder if Chris Cantwell was there with his big giant vape thing.
I didn't see him in the footage, and you would think Chris Cantwell would do his best to get interviewed if there was a camera around. So no, I don't think he was there. But here's the audio, and I'll try to cut it by the end of it where some guy lets the F-bomb drop. But here's the audio from Reason.tv.
A lot of folks have seen their family members die. A lot of people have seen their friends die and get sick from cigarette smoke. And what vaping has done for me has allowed me to live my life again.
Terrible. Must be stopped.
I smoked since I was 15 or 16 years old, a pack a day. I can breathe better. I run every day. I'm an athlete. I don't smell. How about that?
All good points. I mean, that's a really good point about the vaporizers is the scent does not stick around. You can vaporize easily in the same room as somebody else, and if you're far enough away, they won't even know it. Certainly does not stick to your clothing or the curtains or the carpet or whatever. It's vapor.
No, and it actually smells pretty good.
A lot of it does, yeah. Well, they've got several different flavors as well, so it's actually, I find it pleasant to be near somebody who is using a vaporizer.
Especially when they're smoking the purple.
What's that? They're not smoking. It's vapor.
The grape.
Oh, excellent.
I like the point the girl made about being able to be an athlete and still use the e-cigarette. Because, you know, if you're a smoker and you want to try to get back in shape, it's going to be that much more difficult because your lungs are not going to be accustomed. Yeah.
So more from Reason.tv.
E-cigarette usage ban goes into effect tonight that would ban e-cigarette use in every workplace, and everywhere else smoking is banned in the city of New York. And there is no justification for this. There's no scientific basis for this. This is all ideology by people who don't approve of smoking, and this reminds them of smoking, and that's why they oppose this. It's vapor. It's mostly water vapor.
There's no toxins in so-called secondhand vapor. Even the first-hand vapor is not toxic.
Now, there's going to be people who will contradict that man's claim. And you know, I forget what the title said, but he looked like he was some sort of expert, some kind of doctor.
Nicotine is toxic. Therefore, e-cigs are toxic.
Yeah, that's going to be the argument, is that, nicotine's still dangerous, and so people need to be careful, etc. And that may be true. I mean, it may not be good to have a nicotine addiction. But I can tell you, as far as comparing evils are concerned, I'd rather have anybody I care about have an addiction to an e-cigarette than addiction to cigarettes. It's
but
like
can you
night
really
and day.
be addicted to an e-cigarette?
I think so, because Dale...
Or is it just the nicotine that you're addicted to?
It's the nicotine, obviously.
Oh, come on, Daryl.
Well, some would argue that it's also the hand-mouth motion that becomes a habit as well. So you're addicted, one, physically to the nicotine, and then two, you create kind of habits around it that also are so habitual. They're addictive, essentially. So that's why some people will replace, when they're trying to quit smoking, the gum won't work for them because it won't satisfy the hand-to-mouth movement habit that they have. So they, some cases will get sunflower seeds or something like that they can use to satisfy that hand-to-mouth movement.
That's true. Like, the stimulus is addicting as well. Like, I know somebody that quit smoking by using pretzel rods to replace them.
Exactly, yeah. Something you can just take in that's not a real big deal.
That must explain why people always ask if I'm trying to quit smoking when I'm chewing sunflower seeds.
Maybe. More from Reason.tv.
The new FDA regulations for e-cigarettes would basically ban more than 99% of all the e-cigarette products on the market.
Whoa, that's not good news.
No, not at all.
Who's going to benefit from that? Oh, well, guess what? The big cigarette companies who got into the e-cigarette game late in the game, because they don't have the vision. These are old guard companies, Philip Morris and whoever the hell else makes cigarettes out there. These guys did not have the innovation to create the e-cigarette. They are follow-alongs. They are, Johnny-come-latelys to the e-cigarette game. And so now they're going to use their political connections because they see how popular e-cigarettes are. They're probably not going to ban e-cigarettes outright. But what they'll do is they'll create regulations that make it next to impossible for anybody who's a small or medium-sized e-cigarette business to continue operating. They'll all have to close their doors or sell out their operations to the big companies who might buy them at pennies on the dollar because they're no longer able to afford to operate anymore. And then these big corporations, the mega cigarette corporations, will then have total domination of the business. That's the plan here.
And you said, it's going to be an extra $1 million per product?
That's the estimation, according to somebody who looked at it.
I'm not an e-cig vapor person. I don't know what other term to use to describe people that puff on the e-cigs, but I'm not one. I'm not one of those people. But I've noticed at the little newsstand downtown where they'll have an e-cig from some company I've never heard of, but they've got like 4 different versions of the same thing. So would that company then need to spend $1 million to get each one of those, where pretty much the only difference is the color of the LED light on the end, and it might be some other feature?
We don't know how strictly the regulations are written. I have not taken the time. I don't think anyone in this room has taken the time to actually look over those. But, according to this guy, and this is the guy they interviewed for one of the main guys. This is Dr. Gilbert Ross from the American Council on Science and Health. So we're going to presume this guy's done a little bit more research than we, the talk show hosts here on Free Talk Live. And he's saying that he believes it's going to put 99% of the operators out of business.
And I'm wondering about the companies that do the disposable e-cigs, if they're just going to completely go out of business.
Don't know about that. I imagine if they're run by Philip Morris, they'll probably stay in business, but otherwise the legal costs and the adherence costs will be, the obedience costs will be too high.
Does Philip Morris actually own some e-cig companies?
Yes, I believe so. I know that there are some e-cigs out there that are made by the major cigarette manufacturers. I don't know I'm pretty sure Philip Morris is one of them. I don't know what their brand is. I imagine a quick Google would reveal that one. But here's a few more thoughts from the attendees of this heroic civil disobedience gathering in New York City a couple days ago.
And will give the entire e-cigarette industry to big tobacco.
It would also stop innovation, because now all the latest and greatest products are coming from these independent companies, all the coolest atomizers, all the rebuildable stuff. People are going to smoke, but let's give them something that is not as harmful.
480,000 Americans die every year from cigarette smoke. 0 have died from vaping. Why should we regulate e-cigarettes off the market? It makes no sense.
Because fear.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Illegal smoking!
And they did it. And I'm going to stop it before the
They
guy
all sound
says.
so happy.
Yeah, before one of the guys vaping there pulls the vaporizer out of his mouth. He looks at the camera and he goes, "Write me an effing ticket." And that's the end of the video. So I hope that we'll see more civil disobedience like this. You know, this was a cool event. It was taking place in probably a closed private club. Odds are good the enforcers, whoever they will be, the health department or whoever, probably not out on the streets, really hitting the streets too hard the first night of enforcement. So will the civil disobedience continue with e-cigarettes, or will this be the lone flash in the pan? More on the way. Hour 2's next. Free Talk Live.
There's a treasure hunt going on at mathgate.info, a Bitcoin treasure hunt. You can find Bitcoins by proving theorems. So, learn some logic, do some math, find some Bitcoins. Even better, mathgate.info is designed to be used anonymously. So, connect to mathgate.info through Tor, prove some theorems, find some anonymous Bitcoins. Don't wait, others are already searching for the Bitcoins. Go to mathgate.info today and join the treasure hunt. There are anonymous Bitcoins to be had for the taking at mathgate.info.
I've had the hardest time finding someone who loves me for me, not my money.
I just want to find the perfect match.
Finding the right car insurance company can be daunting, especially if you've been burned in the past. Visit geico.com to find the policy destined for you. One devoted to saving you money, making your life easier, treating you like a princess or a vegan warlock, whatever you're into. Your perfect car insurance company is out there. Geico. 15 minutes could save you hundreds on car insurance.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, May 2nd, 2014. Silver is trading at $19.20 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,286 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $445. Antiwar.com reports, in talks with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Russian President Vladimir Putin suggested the best path to a resolution of the eastern Ukraine conflict would be for Ukraine to withdraw its military from the protester-held provinces and launch a broad national dialogue on reforms. Ukraine's government deployed the military there last month, with orders to liquidate the public protesters who were calling for increased autonomy for the eastern Russian-speaking region around Donetsk. The White House was quick to condemn the comments. They did not mention the fact that the White House has made literally the exact same demand of Russian troops near Ukraine's border for weeks now. Putin's call for Ukraine to stop the offensive seems, if anything, a way out for Ukraine's interim government, which conceded yesterday that its troops are helpless in retaking the region from the protesters. Ukrainian officials have also talked up keeping troops along the border for what they predict is the imminent start of World War III, anticipating fights with Russia. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They now take Bitcoin for purchasing precious metals so you can turn your profits into a long-term investment. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing. 800-874-9760. A press release from the Committee for Legislative Reform and Term Limits states the committee, chaired by Illinois gubernatorial candidate Bruce Rauner, filed petitions Wednesday containing 591,092 signatures with the Secretary of State's office at the Illinois State Board of Elections. Term Limits and Reform has been collecting signatures in a statewide petition drive since September in order to place the Term Limits and Reform constitutional amendment on the ballot in November. Because of an outdated requirement for filing a petition with the State Board of Elections, left over from when petitions were divided by county instead of a single statewide filing, the 67,976-page, 1,600-pound Term Limits and Reform petition was delivered to the Board of Elections by semi-truck and required a team of over 20 people to deliver it. The amendment would limit state lawmakers to 8 years in the General Assembly, while also making other structural and procedural changes to the legislature, including raising the threshold to override a gubernatorial veto and changing the number of state House and Senate districts. The Chicago Tribune adds, Rauner has made support for legislative term limits a major plank in his run for governor. After the petition is filed, the State Board of Elections will conduct a random check of 5% of the signatures to determine if the proposal has enough valid signatures from registered voters to be submitted to voters for ratification. Term Limits and Reform turned in nearly twice as many signatures as required. You've heard of ShinyBadges.com, but you need to check out the New Causes tab. Every item in that section includes a donation to a worthy liberty project like Hoodie the Homeless. So go to ShinyBadges.com, click on the New Causes tab, and get yourself a quality product that not only supports the cause you believe in, but starts a conversation with your neighbors. Plus, get a free gift when you pay with Bitcoin at ShinyBadges.com. The AP reports more than 600 suspected gang members have been arrested in the Homeland Security Department's latest crackdown on street gangs. Immigrations and Custom Enforcement officials said Thursday that ICE agents, along with local authorities in 179 cities, arrested 638 suspected gang members over a month-long period in March and April. ICE officials said 78 suspected gang members were arrested on federal charges, while another 447 currently face only state charges. ICE arrested 113 on other administrative immigration charges. The latest crackdown, dubbed Project Southbound, is part of a larger ICE initiative that started in 2005 to target street gangs with international ties. Since the effort started, ICE says it has arrested more than 33,000 suspected gang members. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Turning to Capitol Hill, House Republicans are considering their own version of the Violence Against Women Act. The GOP hopes their new No Punch, Pretty Lady bill will finally help the party appeal to female voters.
No punch, no rape. Pass law. Women give big smiles at us again. Big votes.
Among its statutes, the bill would introduce harsher penalties for putting fists to women's face and proposes that if ladies smell nice like flowers, no smash lady.
And what if Pretty Lady Al-Qaeda? What if she death panel? What if she Benghazi? Yes, in some cases, punch lady.
In addition to increasing funding to shelters for crying ladies hurt from doing sex with bad guys, the bill also includes a clause complimenting the nation's women for losing weight.
And in other headlines, Lady Gaga kidnaps Commissioner Gordon. A man who likes to move it is still searching for the perfect song. And Rod Stewart is mistaken for an elderly aunt.
This is the Onion News Network.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching here into the second hour of the program. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. Still talking about the e-cigarette ban. This may be coming to a city council or state legislature near you. And then at the same time, the federal government, in the form of the FDA, is also looking at regulating the e-cigarettes, which will result in, according to one expert's opinion, the elimination of approximately 99% of the marketplace, leaving the e-cigarettes the exclusive property of the major cigarette manufacturers. And Daryl, you have been digging around on the internet to try to figure out who the Philip Morris Company owns. Did you figure that out?
They own one. I didn't get into the article enough to see what the company name is, but there's several stories from late last year saying that Philip Morris was prepared to enter the e-cig business.
Yeah, see, they're late to the game with that, and that's why they're upset. They want to make it so they can take the marketplace by force, and so they're going to use their buddies, the federal government, to help them do that. By the way, it is Ian here with you tonight.
Ellen?
And Daryl.
Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. The proposal right now is for the entire state of New York, there would be a ban that would be similar to the cigarette ban, meaning that e-cigarettes are banned everywhere. Regular cigarettes are banned, the use of e-cigarettes. And that's something that just went into effect a couple nights ago in New York City. MS is on the line in Madison on via Skype. Hello, MS.
Hello, gentlemen and lady.
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I just got home from, having a couple drinks out at the bar, and I logged into Facebook and saw this ban go into place, and I'm pretty livid. I'm a 15-year pack-a-day smoker that wanted to quit for years and years and years, and I was on the e-cig for a little while, and I had a health scare that kind of drove me right back into the hands of cigarettes out of panic. And I'm on my second bout with the e-cigs, and I've gone from a pack a day down to six cigarettes in 4 months.
So that's more. That's like almost a quarter of a pack.
No, 6 cigarettes in 4 months.
Oh, in 4 months. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant you went down from a pack a day to 6 cigarettes a day in a 4 month time
less
period.
than a cigarette per month.
That's yeah.
No,
That's
it'd
huge.
be 1.2 or something per month. But
I mean, at 1 cigarette per month, why do you even bother at that point?
If I'm out celebrating with friends, I've got friends that smoke, and sometimes just like, hey, let's just go out and have a smoke with your buddies.
Just catch a buzz. So there's no like you're falling off the wagon by taking just that one cigarette that the next morning you're not waking up wanting to take a drag off a regular cigarette.
Not at all. And actually, I generally regret when I do have a cigarette because they taste horrible at this point. I'm either smoking things that taste like fruit, like who doesn't like fruit,
right?
Or
well, that's
people
the
on the
danger.
paleo diet.
They say the people who support these bans, MS, they say that's the danger, that these things are going to attract children, and they're going to get children hooked on e-cigarettes, and then the kids are going to upgrade to regular cigarettes. What do you think about that?
I think I personally think that's a little bull, because why would you want to lick an ashtray when you could eat blueberries?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either.
If you're on the paleo diet, you can't eat fruit because fruit has sugar.
But you can still lick fruit.
I'll lick fruit and I'll eat fruit and I enjoy it. And actually, most of the time, here in Madison, I've encountered a little bit of resistance in terms of our local kind of microbrew scene if I vape things that taste like stuff, because a lot of microbrew connoisseurs don't want you to affect their palate or their scent or their olfactory taste buds. So when I'm out and about, I vape stuff that literally tastes like nothing. And you breathe it out, it's unflavored, it's just like a steam that has nicotine in it, and it dissipates, and nobody's the wiser.
So allow me to just make a suggestion.
Sure.
Get a flavor of the vape that would complement the beer. So, for example, if you're drinking a blueberry beer, then you would want to vape something blueberry. That way you're not really countering the taste.
Respectfully, Daryl, this is Madison, Wisconsin, and they believe very wholeheartedly in the Reinheitsgebot, which is the German purity laws. And if you vape flavored stuff, like if it's not, yeast, hops, barley, and water, they'll run you out on a rail. So if it doesn't complement those 4 flavors, then you're kind of fighting a losing battle. So I'd rather just it not taste like anything.
Hold on. Explain these laws to me again. What are they?
They're called the German purity law. And it's something that was developed over the course of centuries in Germany. And they restrict, it's called the Reinheitsgebot. And it restricts the creation of beer down to 4 ingredients.
Yeah, you can't have good beer.
No, you can create immensely wonderful beer using 4 ingredients, so long as you have a good brewmaster doing it.
I see what you're saying. You can but you could import beer from somewhere else, right?
But you can't ruin the purity of beer by adding anything other than these 4 ingredients.
Right. So they're doing like the microbrews. They're not doing the craft beers with different flavors added into it.
But you could still import them, correct?
Well, microbrews and craft brews are the same thing. It's just you have someone that wants to add pumpkin to their beer.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of the Reinheitsgebot, that's not allowed.
Right. I like a good pumpkin beer. I'm not a huge beer aficionado or anything like that, but I like the flavored beers. But just to clarify, you could still import the beers from elsewhere, correct?
Right, but when he goes to the microbrewery, they're not going to have...
They can't brew them in the state, but you could still brew it out of state.
They're not going to sell that on tap at the breweries that he's going to.
Ian, it's not an actual law. It's just called the German purity law because it's just kind of like a consideration that you make when you brew this kind of beer.
So it's more of a tradition based on old Germanic law. I see what you're saying. I thought you were saying some old Germanic law had been enacted there in Wisconsin, which wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, no. Well, it wouldn't surprise me either, but no, it's just a tradition where you stick to these 4 ingredients, and you can do a lot with the 4 ingredients.
Now, Madison's a progressive town, right? I mean, we've got the progressive talk radio station there on Saturday nights, WXXM. And are there any rumblings about an e-cigarette ban happening there? Are they going to follow in New York City's footsteps?
Actually, the one great thing that Wisconsin is actually trying to push through is to exempt electronic cigarettes from the statewide ban on tobacco in terms of the bars and restaurants. Thankfully, I go to a local haunt here whose name I will not say just because they'd probably get angry at me if I align themselves politically. But they allow me to vape openly in the bar, and they would sooner have their employees and customers vape in the bar.
Well, there's no prohibition on that right now.
No, there's not. Absolutely not. And they support it as long as it's not too stinky.
Yeah.
If it gets too stinky, they'd politely request that you step outside, but it's not banned outright.
Have you ever seen them do that to somebody?
They've done it to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was at one point vaping a really pungent vanilla that it could be smelled about 30 to 35 feet away from where I was vaping, and they're just like, dude, like, politely please take it outside or get an unflavored vape. And that's why I started vaping the unflavored, so I could sit. I mean, it gets cold here in Wisconsin, and I don't want to sit there outside huddled with the smokers when I kick the tobacco,
MS, anything else you want to share with us tonight?
New York City, move to New Hampshire.
If you love freedom, please. If you love
freedom.
the state, then just stay right there in New York City. In fact, if you love the state and you live in New Hampshire, you should move to New York City. You'd love it there. Hey, thanks, MS. I appreciate
I'm on my way to New Hampshire. I got a year to go.
Awesome. That's going to happen here before you know it. I appreciate your call tonight. Thanks for the personal story on the e-cigarettes and how they've helped you. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. So I was looking, Daryl, at the Philip Morris thing. Turns out they actually haven't launched theirs yet.
Right. I was given some information that says that Lorillard, which is the company that makes Newport, they bought Blue e-cigs. And Marlboro, which is the main product of Philip Morris, has not yet entered the market. And one of the stories from, I believe it was Reuters from last year, said that Philip Morris intends to enter the game in the second half of 2014.
Yeah, so they're still working on it. That's how behind the ball these people are. That's how kind of old guard Philip Morris is. They're so uninnovative. They've been resting on their laurels as these other companies are eating their lunch in the e-cigarette market. There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Everybody wants to know, what can you buy with Bitcoins? Isn't there like a Bitcoin general store or something? Well, yes, now there is, and it's at bitcoingeneralstore.com. BitBrew and the Bees Brothers have teamed up to create a place where U.S. customers in the lower 48 can shop for, well, anything, with free shipping. What can you find at bitcoingeneralstore.com? Bitcoin apparel, stickers, gifts, precious metals, physical Bitcoins, coffee and honey, of course, and electronics and computer accessories. The folks at Bitcoin General Store are true Bitcoin believers who don't even use third-party payment processors. They get their inventory direct with Bitcoin and pass on the savings to you. Shop at bitcoingeneralstore.com with confidence that you are supporting a real Bitcoin economy. You gotta see what they have to offer. Visit bitcoingeneralstore.com today. That's bitcoingeneralstore.com.
Again, the Congressional Budget Office sounds the alarm. This time warns of Greek-style U.S. debt crisis.
The Bitcoin General Store
right.
are true.
The GAO is drawing a parallel between the U.S. economy, its debt, and the current Greek economic meltdown. With the debt to GDP chart climbing into unfamiliar territory, the growing budget deficit will rise to unsupportable levels. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. The Federal Debt and Risk of Financial Crises document the CBO has published is a must-read for every American, covering the risk of continued deficit spending coupled with an aging population and the rising interest rates spell economic disaster. It's imperative that you get a copy of this document and study it for yourself. Call me today at 800-686-2237 and I'll send you a free copy. Again, call 800-686-2237 and ask for your copy of the CBO document. Once again, you need to read this government report. Call 800-686-2237.
After visiting his girlfriend of 2 years at her workplace to deliver an unexpected threat for Valentine's Day, violent and controlling boyfriend Matthew Strachan spoke to The Onion about remaining a devoted and committed abuser.
On a special day like today, I like doing something extra malicious for Mallory, just so she knows that I've been thinking about hurting her. I mean, you should have seen the look on her face when I came and surprised her at work today. It was so great. I mean, she had no idea I was going to come to her office to belittle and frighten her. I mean, I wanted to do it in front of her friends to really humiliate her.
Strachan added that while he doesn't always get a chance to inflict harm on Mallory, he tries his best each and every day to create an environment of sustained physical and emotional abuse to leave her feeling completely alienated and powerless.
Just wait till she sees what I have in store for her tonight. I love Valentine's Day.
For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com. This is Mark of Free Talk Live. We've been witnessing a meltdown of the economic engine that powers our country. With a printing press tethered to Washington bureaucrats and New York central bankers, how can we trust paper money? For years, I've been buying gold and silver from Midas Resources, and you should too. Call 877-357-9938 for a free book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, or go to gold.freetalklive.com. Again, 877-357-9938. 877-357-9938.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Bring up anything you want right here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And, of course, we invite you to the website at freetalklive.com where you can enjoy a variety of features. Just enjoy over at freetalklive.com for free. Now, it's almost Mother's Day. Not this weekend, but coming up next weekend. your chance to get some awesome, freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries is ending soon. In fact, the deal we've been telling you about, the $19.99 for several freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries, that $19.99 deal is going to expire tonight at midnight. That's Friday night at midnight. You can also double the berries for just $10 more, which I would highly recommend you do. These are enormous, fresh, juicy, mouth-watering berries. And I believe the both of you have experienced Sherry's Berries. Am I correct about that?
I have.
Yes. I remember one time when Allie and I were in here doing ALP, you had some left over that you gave us, and they were delicious.
No. I didn't have them left over. I held on to them specifically to give to you because
really?
Otherwise I would have eaten them all by myself.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you had leftovers.
Yeah, it's hard to have
well,
leftovers.
That makes all the difference.
I eat all of the ones that are covered in the white chocolate.
No, you left a few white chocolate
I go
ones.
for the dark
I
chocolate.
think I left one.
The white chocolates and the dark chocolates are my two favorites, but the milk chocolates are also darn good. I mean, it's hard to pick favorites when it comes to Sherry's Berries because the chocolate's really awesome quality. The berries are like the best berries you could possibly pick. And you can get them at a heck of a deal for $19.99 or double the berries for just $10 more by clicking the microphone in the upper right-hand corner of berries.com and use the code FTL to place your order. You can schedule the delivery date as to whenever's best for you or your mom or whoever it is you're going to send these things to. They're available, of course, at any time of the year, but now's a really good time to go and get some with this special Mother's Day deal. Berries.com. Click the mic, type in FTL, and get that deal. And get your Mother's Day shopping taken care of tonight because the deal expires at midnight. Now, something that might be expiring soon is the freedom of people to use e-cigarettes in it's already expired in New York City. New York State's looking at a ban of e-cigarettes in the same places where cigarettes are prohibited. And, I was just curious to find out where exactly cigarettes are prohibited in New York City. And what would have been an easier list to share with you would have been a list of places where e-cigarettes or cigarettes are actually allowed.
Your house?
Right. That would have been a much shorter list. That is basically the list, Daryl, is your house. And you could maybe make an argument that
your car, unless there's someone under the age of 18 in your car.
There was something about a public, you know what it is. I pulled up. Okay, so first of all, what happened in New York City was there was a ban in the early part of the 21st century, so like a decade ago. There was a ban that went into effect, affecting pretty much everywhere in the city. I'll give you a few examples. According to the list, public transportation facilities, public means of transportation, public restrooms, retail stores, other than retail tobacco stores. So if you're running a tobacco store, you can get an exception. Restaurants, business establishments other than retail tobacco stores, then they go through a list of business establishments. However, they say it shall not apply to membership associations. So you could still have a members-only club in New York City where cigarette smoking is allowed, which of course
so
where
you
a lot
could
of
smoke
politicians
inside
hang
Sam's
out.
Club.
If
Sam's Club allowed it.
Presumably.
Because you need a membership.
Right. Libraries, museums, and galleries, motion picture theaters, concert halls, buildings, or areas and rooms primarily designed for the use of primary purpose of exhibiting movies or presenting performances, auditoriums, convention halls, sports arenas, recreational areas, gymnasiums, health clubs. And, I'm kind of skipping through some of these things.
So what if the people are considered actors? Because I know that
There's
that's
an exemption for that.
in, I think it's London.
Yeah, there's an exemption
and
for that.
Pubs will do this thing to where it's like improv night, and everybody is an actor for the evening so that everybody can then smoke a cigarette while they drink their beer.
That's smart
Actually,
stuff.
that's a good point. When I went to Yale to see a play not too long ago, there was actually 3 times where somebody lit a cigarette on stage, and I was shocked. I was like, are they allowed to smoke inside? I thought this was illegal.
Apparently they are. It's one of the few exemptions in here that for theatrical purposes, you are allowed to smoke a cigarette. And by the way, this is New York City's rules that I'm sharing with you. So this now applies to e-cigarettes. Every place I'm mentioning where you cannot smoke a cigarette is also now a place where you cannot use an e-cigarette. Healthcare facilities, and then they go into much more detail on what they mean by that. A lot of these things then say including, but not limited to, and then they give a bunch of examples of what they consider
hospital,
to be
doctor's office.
All schools, children's institutions, zoos, elevators, public areas where bingo is played. They made a special one just for that. Bars, providing that smoking shall be permitted in tobacco bars, as well as owner-operated bars. That's interesting. And then separate smoking rooms in bars, provided, however, the owner and operator shall have filed a copy of the architectural or engineering plan for such a room with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Tobacco businesses are also prohibited. So generally, you cannot smoke in a tobacco business, except within certain designated areas for
Here's
the purpose...
the tobacco room.
Yeah, for the purpose of testing or developing tobacco or tobacco products. However, those areas must be located on no more than 2 floors of the building where such a business is located. Membership associations, and then they go on giving some more rules about that. They also prohibit smoking in certain outdoor areas, including outdoor dining areas of restaurants, outdoor seating, or viewing of motion picture, concert, stage, lecture, etc., playgrounds, children's institutions outdoors there, and so on. Now, that was back in the early part of the decade. Then, in 2009, they went ahead and upgraded their ordinances to prohibit smoking in any city park, in any beach run by the city. So it doesn't matter as long as you're in public view, it seems like, because they've also banned it in pedestrian plazas. Now, they say that means an area designated by the Department of Transportation for use as a plaza located within the bed of a roadway, which may contain benches, tables, or other facilities for pedestrian use. So I guess that doesn't include a sidewalk?
No, sidewalk would be somewhere in public. City-owned.
Yeah, but
City owns the sidewalk.
Is that a pedestrian plaza?
I'm saying sidewalk would be covered under the other.
I don't think there was a
things.
I don't think there was a ban on sidewalks. I think you can still legally smoke a cigarette. And if you're in New York City and I've got this wrong, please let me know.
But my guess is that, and I know the way the bans are worded in most other places, or on a sidewalk unless you're within 50 feet
of a doorway or something.
A doorway.
That's a good point.
And
in
most
New York City,
you're going to be 50 feet from a doorway.
That's a good point.
Does it count if you're just walking past?
Probably. That's a good question.
Here's an idea. Why don't they just make a park specifically designated for smokers?
Oh, they've got the free speech zone, so they should have a tobacco zone.
Well, if it were a private park, then in theory it might work.
Here's a little 10-foot by 10-foot radius off on the very edge of Manhattan. That's where you can smoke a cigarette now.
Yeah, private parks or other property under the jurisdiction of the Department of Parks. So yeah, public parks it's banned. But in theory, if you had a private park, like Zuccotti Park, I believe, is privately owned.
Yes.
855-450-FREE is the toll-free number here. You may take control. Can you smoke a cigarette walking down the street in New York City? It's Free Talk Live.
Gentlemen, in search of $1 million smile that'll make them take notice, really get their attention? Then get the mud. My Magic Mud. The fluoride-free whitener with no chemicals, additives, GMOs, or bad taste. And safe to swallow. My Magic Mud detoxifies, reduces sensitivity, cleans and strengthens your teeth while it whitens. Comes as a powder for pure whitening power. Start looking good for that special someone. Get the mud now. MyMagicMud.com.
Good people need help. The Homeowners Association said we had weeds and fined us $25. We told them they had the wrong house. They said if we didn't pay it, they'd file a lien. Our attorney demanded photographs, witnesses, and told them if they couldn't provide this, they must cease and desist. Issue solved. Worry less and live more with lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com or call 855-340-SAVE. That's 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the Liberty Media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
Imagine for a moment a radio program, the most personal of mediums, that reaches hundreds of thousands of people on more than 140 radio stations across the U.S. and around the world through the internet with podcasts and live streams. Imagine the advertising is affordable from $600 to $6,000 a month. Free Talk Live is that program. We will work with you to get clicks, calls, views, or sales. Email me at mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. We invite you to bring up whatever you want. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, since we're on the topic of vice tonight, we've been talking about smoking cigarettes, but specifically smoking e-cigarettes, or rather vaping e-cigarettes, and how it's now been banned in every single place where cigarettes are banned, which is almost everywhere in New York City. In fact, my question is it even legal in New York City to walk down the street and smoke a cigarette? I think, Daryl, you made the best point on that, in that they're probably banning it from near entryways and near windows and things like that, which would make it almost impossible to use a cigarette or e-cigarette on the streets of New York City. So if you live in the city, though, would love to hear from you. Maybe you know a little bit more about it than we do at 855-450-FREE. Also, you can join us via Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. Now, ProXPN is a global virtual private network. They are the sponsor of our phone lines here, and they are all about privacy. If you care about privacy, you need to know about ProXPN. What they do is encrypt your internet connection. They make it so that everything that you send out of your computer is encrypted, meaning that your internet service provider, that's the first stop. So whenever you send something to the internet, it first goes to your ISP, and then from there goes to other pass-alongs, if you will, to its final location of whatever website you're trying to visit or whatever computer you're trying to connect to. So your ISP is the first stop. They're the ones who are snooping on you right now. They're probably logging every website you visit, every search term that you enter. Why? Because they can. And because the government would like them to do that as well. So you can stop them from logging that information by starting with ProXPN tonight. Go to proxpn.com/FTL, grab their app. There's one available for Windows, one for Mac, and another one for iOS devices, as well as Android devices. Linux users, there's a way to get you started with ProXPN too. It's a little bit different, but it's not complicated at all. You just have to get the special instructions from their support staff at proxpn.com/FTL. Get the software installed, and you are protected from having your ISP know what you're doing online. And that also protects you from other people that want to know what you're doing online. Maybe some hacker is sniffing out your Wi-Fi packets to try to crack crack into your connection. Well, if you're encrypted, you are protected from that happening as well. Plus, if you go online, maybe you'd like to download some torrents every now and then. How would you like to privately torrent? Because right now when you torrent, your IP is right out there in the open. If the Motion Picture Association wants to get a list of IP addresses downloading the latest Game of Thrones episode, well, they can easily do that. Torrents have all that information out in the open, but if you're privately torrenting through ProXPN, they can't come after you. And in fact, ProXPN has a server in the Netherlands which has the best privacy protections as far as torrents are concerned. So if you care about privacy, go to proxpn.com/FTL. Use code FTL20, get 20% off of the price of their premium account for the lifetime of your account. And by the way, that annual plan, if you buy that, that gets the price down to $5 a month. And you can save even more if you pay with Bitcoin for the annual plan. So go and get the deal at proxpn.com/FTL, code FTL20. As we continue here, your calls. Aaron is on the line, and he is calling from Delaware. Aaron, you're on Skype.
Hey, Ian, how are you?
Hey, you're also on with Ellen and Daryl. Go ahead, Aaron.
Nice to see you guys. I've been thinking about this smoking ban, and I wonder if it's they see the writing on the wall with marijuana legalization. If that were the case, the vaporizing would make sense as well. And it may be that they're simply trying to get all these laws in place so that when that comes to be, they don't want people smoking pot in the parks or in bars that serve alcohol.
I don't know if that much thought goes into this sort of thing, but you could be right. I mean, it's certainly true that if they legalize pot in New York City, that presumably all the same smoking rules will apply to that.
I don't think that New York City is even considering legalizing cannabis.
Well, they have decriminalized it.
Right, and that's vastly different than legalizing it.
Oh, I can't imagine New York City wouldn't put a legalization measure on the up front at some point because there's money involved.
So this is another case of, they're confusing it for cigarettes.
Or it would be.
It could be they're already dealing with pot usage with the decriminalization, that it's just something the police can enforce on a personal level. So since they can't make new laws against something that's already illegal, they're just making laws against smoking so it's more obvious.
I think it's a decent theory. Aaron, anything else you want to share tonight?
No, thanks all for what you do.
Sure. Thanks for the call tonight. By the way, you can connect to us just like Aaron has done. Actually, all of our calls tonight have been on Skype. You can Skype into the show at username LRN.FM. So we've got other vices to talk about this evening. If you've got e-cigarette related news and calls, you're certainly welcome to continue to call the show here at 855-450-FREE, the ProXPN toll-free line. But Daryl, change gears a little bit for us. Let's go to alcohol.
Yeah, so there's a story here from Reason.com, and this is about something that I've known about for a long time, that in Pennsylvania, you cannot buy beer and wine at the grocery store.
You used to live there, right?
I used to live there, and apparently there's a new commercial that has come out saying that it's because of greed, and greed kills children.
What's because of greed?
The purchasing of alcohol. Like, if you could buy it at the grocery store, that's greedy.
I see.
And greed kills children.
So they're applying their subjective judgment, saying that you purchasing something alcoholic that you're supposed to enjoy is taking the money away from all the babies.
No. I'll get into it.
Are they saying that the store owner's greedy?
They're saying that the store owners are greedy.
Yeah.
And that being able to buy alcohol from a grocery store causes children to die.
So you can tell us more about that.
Yes.
But where is it available?
It's available at beer distributors.
Like a wholesaler?
Kind of like a New Hampshire
it's called
liquor
a
store?
beer distributor.
So it's a store where they sell beer.
But only buy like 6-packs and cases. Or actually, no, you can't buy a 6-pack. You can only buy a case.
Really?
Yes.
Now, are they run by the state, or are they special corporations that are granted
Some
status?
are run by the state. Some are ones that have special permissions from the state.
Let's get deeper into that story here in moments. Let's go first to Chan, calling from Boston. You're on Free Talk Live. Chan.
Hey, am I speaking to Ian?
Hi, Chan. I'm Ian, yes.
Hey, how are you guys doing? I'm just calling to say how are you guys doing? And
well, we're doing a radio show, and we're having a fun time, and hopefully you can add something to it. Go ahead, Chan.
That's awesome. I'm just concerned. I'm a little bit older, and I'm really concerned about the opposition to what you guys doing, and I hope you guys can cope well.
Opposition to what? Who's doing?
Well, I've been reading Free Keens, and there's people who just arbitrarily being anti you guys just for the kick of it. That's how I feel about it.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the Stop Free Keene group on Facebook?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. And I just want to know that you guys are dealing with it well, and you're doing okay. And,
well, yeah, everything's fine. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, the Stop Free Keene, for our listeners that don't know, I blog at freekeene.com. It's a website where we talk about some of the activism that happens here in Keene and also in the rest of New Hampshire when we get the news about it. And there's a certain group of people, and Chan, thank you for the call and concern. Appreciate hearing from you tonight. There's a certain group of people that is very upset about the existence of Free Keene. They don't like a lot of things about the website's news coverage. I mean, they associate Free Keene with everything liberty-oriented that happens around here, whether it's people smoking pot in the common or people doing political action. It's all Free Keene's fault, which, of course, Free Keene's just a website that reports on things, and there are individuals who are associated with Free Keene, like myself and Daryl, who are bloggers there, and we do things as activism, so that kind of gets labeled as Free Keene. Anyway, Free Keene is kind of like the target for all the people that hate the ideas of freedom and that love the state and love control and love the status quo. And that's fine. I don't expect to not be targeted for the things that I do. I do activism. And when you do activism, there are going to be people who don't like it. There are going to be people who want things to stay as they are, and they see that your activism is a threat to that. And they're going to lash out, and they're going to lash out with violence in some cases. And they're going to lash out with threats, and they're going to be generally awful, and they're just going to be nasty people.
Sometimes you don't even have to be an activist. You could just be vocal about something, and you can still get the same verbal threats.
As far as I'm concerned, if you're vocal about something, you've crossed into the line of being an activist. We'll come back with more here, especially if you've been threatened, Ellen. I haven't heard about that. We can talk more about the haters, and should people stop doing what they think is best because some people don't like it. It's Free Talk Live. You can take control here.
Angioprim can unclog blocked arteries and improve blood flow in all parts of your body. Angioprim is oral chelation. Easy, simple, liquid oral chelation. You take it with juice before breakfast and forget about it. Angioprim works fast, unlike old-fashioned chelation that takes hours. Just log on to angioprim.com. That's Angioprim, ANGIOPRIM, angioprim.com. Angioprim users say they have more energy, more strength, more endurance. Increased circulation and blood flow will make all your body parts work better. Log on to angioprim.com to get more information on how you can get started and start feeling better, having fun, and doing more again. Lots more. Talk to a trained Angioprim consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221. Or log on for complete information. Angioprim.com. That's Angioprim.com. Find out how Angioprim can work for you. Get the facts about Angioprim at Angioprim.com.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for $35,000. You heard right, that's 5,000 square feet for $35,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Call 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting block and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. We've been talking about Vice throughout most of the show here tonight. We'll come back to the story about the alcohol situation in Pennsylvania here in a little bit. Also inviting you to take control of the airwaves here at 855-450 free. You don't have to talk about Vice to get on the air with us. We can talk to you about whatever's on your mind. Also, you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. And if you like the show and you want to help support Free Talk Live, then shop with us. Go and get your shopping taken care of at shop.freetalklive.com. You enter Amazon through the links you'll find there, and Free Talk Live gets a cut of your purchase prices. That's simple. There's Amazon United States, Amazon Canada, and Amazon UK. You just click into the right Amazon for you at shop.freetalklive.com. In fact, once you click the link to your appropriate Amazon, you can bookmark that landing page, and then you can keep just going back to the bookmark from that point on in the future. Makes a big difference for us when you shop that way and you get the same great prices, the same huge selection that you're used to. Just go to shop.freetalklive.com. As we continue here, briefly, a few more comments on the haters. We had a guy call in. He was asking if basically if I was okay. The fact that there's all these haters out there. There's at least a few dozen, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 dozen active people in this group called Stop Free Keene. Now, it's all in capital letters, and there's 3 exclamation marks behind it. So if you're looking for it on Facebook, in fact, I made a shortcut. You can just go to haters.freekeene.com. It'll take you right to their site.
They're pretty serious about it.
They seem serious about it. We're really going to see here in a few weeks, Ellen, how serious they are, because it's easy to post to trash talk somebody on Facebook. It's a lot harder to actually get out and do something. And so the purported idea is that they've been talking about doing something in May. Well, it's now May, so I guess we're going to find out what it is they have in store. Presumably, they're going to do some more protests. Last year, some of them got out in the Central Square here in Keene, New Hampshire, with signs, and signs like "Stop Free Keene" and whatever other hateful sayings.
Free Keene is mean.
I think that was another one of them. And so anyway, presumably
Free
we'll see
Keene
something else
from
like
the Free Staters.
And then something about freak staters as well. They like to call us freak staters. So I presume they're going to do something like that. Word is they're also working on their own website as well. So we'll see how that goes when it actually happens.
I wonder if they truly understand what the Free Staters represent, because it seems like all they're focusing on is the negative media coverage, like the Robin Hooding case. That seems to be one of their main concerns.
How much of their group have you read?
I wouldn't say that I check up on it regularly, but I have seen a few posts from them, and from what I've read, they don't seem very well informed as to what's going on.
That's certainly true. Most of the people, first of all, most of the people in Stop Free Keene did not consent to being added there. That's I believe that to be true. I have no evidence for it. But what happened was, it was for a long while, the group was about 24 people strong. And then at one point, they decided they were just going to start adding everybody that they knew to the group. And then it started jumping up by the hundreds over just a few days. It's now over 800 people who are in there. And every, 100 people, they post some big, graphic of a number. Woo, 800, thank you so much. Like acting like there's all these people that are just organically joining the group. And I don't believe that. Now, you could say, well, Ian, you're totally speculating. You don't know whether that's true. They could be telling the truth, that everybody's just joining organically and it's not that they're just adding everyone on their friends list. But what I believe contradicts that is that there was one of the Stop Free Keene members who created a Twitter channel. Now, one of the differences between Twitter and Facebook is, on Facebook, if you have a group, you can go and add all of your friends to that group.
And they have to leave the group if they don't want to remain.
Whereas with Twitter, you cannot add someone as a follower to your Twitter channel. Every person on Twitter has to opt in to follow a channel. And if you look at the Stop Free Keene channel on Twitter, first of all, they haven't posted since a few weeks at this point. But back when they were posting to it, when they had started and attempted to promote their own channel on their supposedly popular group with hundreds of supposedly active members, they only recruited about 20 people to the Twitter channel.
Well, you could also make the argument that not everyone that uses Facebook
is
uses
on Twitter. That's certainly true.
But it must be hard to get supporters when they don't really have a platform on which they stand.
Their platform is just, we hate Free Keene and Stop Free Keene, and in addition to that, Stop the Free State Project. There's a lot of hatred toward the Free State Project as well. Some of the members in the group, they will say things like, well, the Free State Project doesn't like Free Keene, so it's not that the Free State Project is all bad. Some of them are also haters of Free Keene, so the Free State Project isn't all bad. But then others will post things like, yeah, but the Free State Project wants to change our home, and they're invaders, and they're coming in to try to change things. We like things the way they are.
We like our governors to be from Massachusetts.
Right, I've heard that more than once. Like, if you don't like where you're living, just move somewhere else.
Meaning leave New Hampshire?
Yes. If you don't like the laws, then go move somewhere else.
But that's what we did.
Don't invade
and that's
their
what
homeland.
They did, a lot of them. And they came here and made the laws worse.
Aren't 3/4 of the legislature from elsewhere?
I don't know.
I've heard it's a large number.
I
like
have
half at least.
Looked. All of the state reps from Keene are from elsewhere. The one who has been here the longest and is, has the most claim of being a native was born in Brattleboro, and his family moved to Keene when he was 4.
And he's like 80-something now,
and
so
he's 80.
Definitely been here a long time. So, the Free Keeners aren't a concern to me. I find them more of an amusement than anything else. I like to read their group.
You mean the Stop Free Keene
Sorry,
group?
thank you, the Stop Free Keene group.
Okay.
I find them more of an amusement. I enjoy reading their group, kind of just like in the morning, I'll get up and read, like somebody might read a newspaper, just to see what kind of hate and vile they're spreading for the day. And ultimately, I see them as a sign of success. I mean, if we, the activists, the liberty activists here in the area, were unremarkable, if the things we were doing were not noteworthy, then they wouldn't care.
Right. First they hate you, then they ignore you, and then they see your point.
No, there's a fight you as well. First they ignore you, then they fight you, then they wait. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. That's the old quote supposedly attributed to Gandhi, but some say he didn't say it originally. Who knows where it came from. But it's a neat thing. Now, they've been fighting us for a long time here in Keene. We've been at the fighting stage for a while. This is just another stage in the fighting stage. This is where, the local...
Is this the they laugh at you stage?
It's both. It's a fighting and laugh at you thing, I think, all at once. And there's just so much ignorance, so much hate. It's impossible to correct the ignorance because these people don't want to have a conversation. Many of them aren't interested. I've invited a couple of them to, let's go to lunch. Let's talk about this. What are your concerns exactly? Maybe we should, have a discussion. Well, they don't want to talk to me. They think I'm a cult leader and that I'm going to somehow ply them with some kind of Kool-Aid, and that that I'm not to be even listened to. I am, public enemy number one, and they target me more than anybody else because I'm more of a visible individual. But they've come after a number of other individuals as well.
Right, and I don't think that anybody around here would have gotten involved in the Free Keene movement or the Free State Project or libertarianism in general if they didn't know what they were going up against. Like, obviously, if you take a stand on something that not everyone agrees with, you're going to have to deal with a lot of, angry opposition.
Well, it may be obvious to you, Ellen, but I don't think it's so obvious to everybody in the liberty movement. There are a number of people who are bristling at the fact that there's opposition to liberty here in New Hampshire. They are shocked that there are people who are doing the things that they're doing to oppose us. And I'm with you. It's not a shock at all. Anybody who threatens the status quo in any way is going to have people oppose them, which is one of the things I've been saying for a long time here on the show, is that there are certain people who think that political action is the only way to change things, and that you civil disobedience out in Keene, you need to settle down. You need to stop all that civil disobedience, which, by the way, there's not that much civil disobedience that happens here. It's just that one instance of civil disobedience is more newsworthy than 100 testimonials at the State House. So it seems like there's more happening here as a result of that.
And let's talk about the State House for a second, because I know for a fact that me and you have gone up to the State House at least a dozen times this year.
At least, yeah.
And I can count on one hand how many times I've seen some of the people from the Manchester area who all they talk about is, the political action. I can count on one hand how many times I've seen those people in Concord.
Well, it's possible they were at different testimony areas. I mean, we were in certain rooms, and there's a lot of rooms, so it's not necessarily true that if they were there that we would have necessarily seen them. And I've certainly seen some people from the Manchester area.
True. Yeah, the couple of guys that run the lobbyist thing, pretty much every time I'm in Concord, I see them in the hallways.
It's because that's their job, though. I mean, they're there for work. You're talking about the average activist.
The average activist I've only seen less than a handful of times.
We'll come back with more. It's why we need more people here in New Hampshire doing all kinds of different stuff. And yes, people will oppose you as soon as you become effective. So prepare yourself for that. More coming up here on Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is on the way next. Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial ever since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
There's a treasure hunt going on at mathgate.info, a Bitcoin treasure hunt. You can find Bitcoins by proving theorems. So, learn some logic, do some math, find some Bitcoins. Even better, mathgate.info is designed to be used anonymously. So, connect to mathgate.info through Tor, prove some theorems, find some anonymous Bitcoins. Don't wait, others are already searching for the Bitcoins. Go to mathgate.info today and join the treasure hunt. There are anonymous Bitcoins to be had for the taking at mathgate.info.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Friday, May 2nd, 2014. Gold opened today at $1,279, silver opened at $19.04, and Bitcoin is trading at $447.50. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from Affordable Sound, CD and DVD duplication for all your print and audio duplication needs. Online, affordablesound.com, or call them up, 512-459-5253. And support comes from Voice and Exit, maximizing human flourishing through radical innovation. Tickets on sale now. Get 10% off with promo code FREEDOM. June 21st at Austin Music Hall. Get yours. VoiceandExit.com. In the news, a one-stop shop to hold police accountable for their misconduct is launched, with AccountableAuthority.com now online.
When you go to court, your best friend is not the judge. It's not your defense attorney. It's the jury. If you had access, you'd be able to show the jury, hey, this officer is a serial liar. We know that he's been lying to juries over and over again. We know that he's filed false police reports. He's been caught several times.
That's Accountable Authority founder Daniel Berman, who says the once missing access to police misconduct is what's being compiled through the public's help at the website.
You can actually post that information for free to a public database where basically if you are caught and if you're charged illegally by an officer, you can actually find out if this officer has other false reports that he's filed.
Berman encourages all members of the public to document any interaction with police, video record anytime contact is made, and to post and upload any instances of abuse at AccountableAuthority.com. The battle for clean water continues as another Texas city joins the fight. Beaumont, Texas is debating whether or not to remove fluoride from the water supply. The city's water utilities director believes the substance is corroding water pipes. Councilman Michael Gatz said he's heard from constituents regarding fluoride concerns. But Councilman Dr. Alan Coleman said he believes fluoride to be safe and reliable and will provide data backing such claims from the Texas Dental Association. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Incorporated, specializing in precious metals since 1977. They don't feed the banks by taking credit cards, but you can bet they take Bitcoin. Online, rrbi.co. or by phone, 800-874-9760. Support also comes from Central Texas Gunworks, home of one of the first Bitcoin ATMs in the country, where you can buy and sell Bitcoin. Visit the ATM, 321 West Bend White Boulevard, number 203. And support comes from Cabo Bob's, non-GMO chips, homemade tortillas, and no high-fructose corn syrup in anything. Online, CaboBobs.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, May 2nd, 2014. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. Your Liberty Beat news for this Friday now continues. A unit of Mexican Army soldiers patrolling the Arizona border has possibly gone rogue, attacking American citizens and challenging U.S. federal agents. A report obtained through a FOIA request shows that members of the Mexican Army have crossed into the U.S. at least 300 times over the past 18 years. President of the Border Patrols Union in the Tucson sector calls encounters with the Mexican Army nerve-wracking and says they often occur during the night. The DHS has been ordered to produce answers into the Mexican Army incursion by early February. On Wednesday, whistleblower Edward Snowden told a group of supporters that the U.S. government routinely conducts surveillance on its own citizens, more than it does the citizens of other countries. Snowden criticized the NSA, saying the agency takes a contradictory position when it comes to protecting U.S. data and exploiting security flaws to gather intelligence on foreign threats. Snowden has been nominated this year for the Nobel Peace Prize. On Thursday, demonstrations and protests around the world marked May Day, also known as International Workers' Day. Originally a pagan springtime festival, the holiday has become secularized over the years to focus on workers' rights. Rallies took place in Russia's Red Square, with a reported 2 million people attending. In Turkey, police used tear gas canisters and a water cannon to disrupt banned protests. In Cambodia, 1,000 factory workers and supporters are said to have violated a ban on demonstrations to call for higher wages and an end to corruption. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from The Corey Moore Show, live Friday nights, 9 o'clock Central Time at thecoreymoreshow.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, May 2nd, 2014. Remember, check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan reporting, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
An innovative new smartphone app funded by the GOP is set to streamline voter discrimination in key swing states. With more on this fascinating story, we go to Jason Copeland.
Well, thanks, Andrea. You know, a new election means a new set of racist voting laws in battleground states, causing long delays and chaos at the polls. But does it have to be so cumbersome? This year, the exciting new Vote Right app aims to help minorities avoid the hassle by stripping away their vote right in the palm of their hands. The Vote Right app is incredibly user-friendly. When you register, you first enter a set of personal information and take a photo of your skin. Vote Right immediately makes rash generalizations about you, and these are just some of Vote Right's intuitive new features. Real-time updates on the bullshit red tape preventing you from registering, and even a video of a condescending white woman who will scream at you from the phone rather than in person at the polling station.
This isn't a food stamp line, sir. You need ID.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is Free Talk Live. And you can bring up anything you want here, toll free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, Daryl will continue the story that we barely touched on about why you cannot buy alcohol. You can't buy actually beer specifically at grocers in Pennsylvania, or liquor, apparently. And
beer, liquor, wine.
Yeah, we'll tell you why that is here in a moment. Also, take your calls at 855-450-FREE, and we're going to go to the phones here. By the way, it's Ian with you.
Ellen.
And Daryl.
Right into the phone calls this hour. We'll start with Howard. He's listening in Pennsylvania, and he's on Skype. Hello, Howard.
Hi, Ellen, Daryl, and Ian.
Hey, go ahead with your thoughts.
You were speaking about Vice, so I had a few comments about that. It reminded me of when my father would take me to this Catholic church. When you could pull in the parking lot, the first sign you would see was like, no biking, no skating, no this. And it always reminded me like, no. And that's the association I have with the Catholic Church, was like no fun. But
yeah, sounds like it.
As far as the alcohol in Pennsylvania, I live in Pennsylvania, and it's much more restrictive than in other states that don't have the state store system like we do here, and it is restrictive. You can't take like more than 2 6-packs out of a bar, and you have to buy all your booze. Any kind of hard liquor or wine has to be sold through a state authorized venue, and it makes it so it's harder for people to sell like better wines, and you don't get as good service as being run by the government. But they
so what you're saying is, just to clarify, you're saying that the government is the seller, or there are certain private sellers who are authorized?
State. No, it's the state. Only there are beer distributors where I think that they are like just privately owned place, but that's all they can sell is beer.
Just beer.
Like,
so if I want to buy a box of wine, I'm going to have to go to the state-run store?
Yeah, and that's only open that's not open like other hours, like in states that aren't as restrictive.
It's open very limited hours, you mean? Like they close at like 9 at night or something like that?
Yeah, it's really, you have to, it's like, I wanted to relate this story. I drink a lot, and I was having a problem a couple years ago. And I went on a road trip to Florida. I have a relative down there around the Cape Canaveral area. And I was doing great. I quit drinking. I clearing my mind out. But after like a day or two, it got really hard. I got kind of squirrely. So I was walking around to kill time and just to keep busy. I walk so much. I really like the Jimmy Buffett song. I broke my flip-flop. But I went into a supermarket, and Florida is so much different. So I'm like obsessing about wanting a drink really bad. And I'm walking through the supermarket just trying to clear my mind. And I look around, and every aisle, I'm standing in an aisle, and there's beer and stacked up to the ceiling. I'm like, What the heck? It was so not like where I'm from. Like, it was just a funny story. And I actually stopped drinking for like 90 days that time. So it's a good story to relate. But the thing, about temptation, if you really want to stop drinking, that's the bottom line. You have to want to stop, and you can stop no matter how much you're craving. But it was just the funniest thing, because I'm here from Pennsylvania, where you have to go to the state store and go through all this. And in a state where they're so less restrictive that in the supermarket, I'm telling you, like they had displays and like nice beer.
Oh, I know. I'm from Florida, so I know what it's like. We actually have supermarkets sold wine and beer in New Hampshire. You can go to a grocer, you can go to most convenience stores and buy both wine or beer, but you cannot buy liquor here in New Hampshire. You have to buy it from the state. If you want to buy liquor, the state store is the only option. Howard, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. But yeah, in Florida, they have liquor stores that are not run by the state. They actually have what they call ABC Liquor. That's one of the brands. There's different brands. There's different,
Yeah, they've got those in Alabama as well.
Right. So there's a lot of private companies that sell alcohol and hard liquor down there, and you can totally just buy as much beer and wine. So that's, to me, it was a shock coming to New Hampshire and having liquor being sold only by the state. I think that's terrible, but some people really like it apparently because the state doesn't mark it up as much. I mean, they apparently they get. Some people tell me that the liquor prices in New Hampshire are the best prices they've ever seen. Now, I don't know these things. I've never really bought liquor at any point, maybe like once or twice in my life. So I don't really have an experience with that to where I can compare it to anything else. Let's continue. Leon is in New Hampshire, listening in Nashua to WSMN. Hey, Leon.
Hey, what's going on? I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Sure. What's on your mind?
I found out yesterday that Singular wants to fuse with AT&T or the other way around, whatever. And every time I hear kind of stuff, it creeps me out. It's like how, what's it called? How Time Warner and Comcast are going to fuse. So I just wanted to know what you guys thought about that. If that's going to like lead to eventual like a monopoly, or I'll just take I'll take it the rest off the air.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Leon. I appreciate hearing from you. What do you guys think? Singular and AT&T proposing a merger, apparently.
I don't know. It seems as though every couple of years, a couple of the major telecom companies decide that they're going to merge, and then it always goes down to a battle at the FTC and the FCC, and ultimately they generally wind up happening. Although this is
old news, by the way. It's according to Wikipedia, February 13th, 2004, AT&T Wireless accepted bids for acquisition. Singular won them back. This was a decade. This is old news, a decade old.
I was going to say, I remember AT&T merging with several companies over the last several years.
Yeah, so apparently, I don't know, maybe the dude saw the headline. Sometimes when you're on Facebook or whatever, somebody will post an old story.
Oh, I hate when they do that.
Yeah, they'll get shared, and then you'll think, oh, this is breaking news. And then you go and you look at the date on the story, and it's really old. But regardless, his question still stands. I mean, is this going to lead to monopoly of cell phone service?
Okay, well, let's go to something that is more up to date. The Time Warner and Comcast proposed merger.
It may be apples and oranges, but I'll give you the reason why in a moment. Tell me what you were going to say about that.
Well, I know why you're saying it's apples and oranges, because the cable companies get the monopolies granted to them by the cities or municipalities.
There's more competition in wireless.
There is much more competition in wireless, but the same concept of preventing the mergers applies to both cases, because you don't want one company that's going to be too large.
That's the idea, at least.
I think he does bring up a good point. Like, even if the story that he's talking about is old, I've noticed that, like, over the years, there are fewer and fewer companies that do, like, cell phone provider, because these companies start out, like, when they did start out, there was many smaller companies, and now they've gotten so large and powerful that they're kind of kicking the ladder away so that nobody else can, like, get to such an vantage point as they have.
They're using regulation, like we were talking about earlier, with the cigarette companies using the FDA's regulation to put their competitors out of business. Same thing happens in the wireless industry, where regulation keeps new upstarts from coming in and bringing innovation in. And also another thing about combining companies in the wireless industry, I'm not going to oppose and say the government needs to come in and put a stop to this. What I support, and this is the same thing with Time Warner and Comcast, I'm not going to oppose that, because that would mean the government would stop companies from buying and selling one another.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. But the thing that I oppose is having the government regulations in the first place that create a restricted marketplace, that create a situation where these big mega corporations can thrive and be subject to next to no competition.
Right.
That's what I support.
And here's one reason why it's not necessarily apples and oranges. It might be apples versus some other form of an apple. Because back in the early 1900s, it was AT&T that began requesting all of these local monopoly charters for providing telephone service under the claim of, well, if you have too many companies, then they'll just start cutting each other's lines, and there's going to be too many lines, and phone poles are going to be too heavy, and they'll just fall over, and all of these other things.
That technology solved
So
those problems.
AT&T was given a monopoly by all of these different municipalities and state governments until in the early 1980s, the Supreme Court said, you've got an illegal monopoly.
And they rolled it back. We'll come back with more here in moments. You can share your thoughts at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Monopoly, Vice, whatever's on your mind goes here on Free Talk Live.
All right, hold on. We got to interrupt the regularly scheduled stuff for just a minute. I've got to tell you about this because it's weird. It'll make sense. What if I told you that eating this one weird spice could actually help you reverse diabetes? I know, it's crazy, right? Well, if you or somebody you care about has diabetes or pre-diabetes or easy for me to say, metabolic syndrome, you've got to check out this video. It's free. You may have heard about this. People who've tried it say that they've been able to normalize their blood sugar, stop taking their diabetes meds, and their doctors are all for it. So what is it? What's behind this? Well, the company says it's a natural, drug-free approach to reversing diabetes, and they say that it works in as little as 4 weeks, and it all starts with this one weird kitchen spice you probably have in your kitchen right now. So you should check out the free video and see for yourself. It's at WeirdSpice55.com. So write that down. It's WeirdSpice55.com. WeirdSpice55.com.
This is Mark of Free Talk Live. We've been witnessing a meltdown of the economic engine that powers our country. With a printing press tethered to Washington bureaucrats and New York central bankers, how can we trust paper money? For years, I've been buying gold and silver from Midas Resources, and you should too. Call 877-357-9938 for a free book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, or go to gold.freetalklive.com. Again, 877-357-9938. 877-357-9938.
Farmers keep livestock lean and healthy with a mineral-rich diet. Then, before market, they cut off minerals, leaving them to crave high-calorie grains. If weight control is this easy, why prescribe surgery for humans? Introducing Youngevity. You could avoid 900 diseases by getting 90 essential nutrients from Youngevity. Check out 90 for Life at tobeyoungagain.com or call 855-79-YOUNG. That's 855-79-YOUNG or tobeyoungagain.com. Youngevity. It's all about saving money, getting healthy, and creating wealth.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
Immigrating to the Shire was easy. I was instantly plugged into a community of individuals who also care about peace, liberty, and justice and are willing to do something about it.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin, any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Take your calls about anything you want here. Toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Join us via Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. Feel free to reach out that way if you prefer. In fact, I would say I prefer it if you've got Skype. It's worth the effort. If you've got a smartphone and you don't have Skype and you like to call Free Talk Live, take a moment, put it on there. It'll upgrade your sound quality. And somebody who sounds good on the air, we're more likely to keep you on the air for a little bit longer. So, again, you can get on Skype at username lrn.fm. And if you've been thinking about getting Bitcoins, we have the solution for you. You've got the Bitcoin wallet down, right? You've been to blockchain.info. You've gotten your free Bitcoin wallet, and you're ready to put Bitcoins in it. All you have to do is go to cashintocoins.com. The instructions there are clear. It's easy, safe, fast, legal, inexpensive. And customer service is their top priority. You can use a money order, check, or wire transfer and easily get Bitcoins deposited into your Bitcoin wallet. Plus, there's a fee involved if you buy more than $40 worth of Bitcoin through Cash Into Coins, a very reasonable fee, by the way. And you can even donate some of that fee to charity. Plus, if you want to do a no-fee transaction to actually transfer cash into Bitcoins for zero fee, you can do that. You just have to order less than $40 worth at cashintocoins.com. That's cashintocoins.com. As we go back to the phone calls here with your thoughts, Tom is in Detroit. You're on Free Talk Live, Tom.
Hey, Ian. Good to hear you again.
Hi, Tom.
And Mark is there?
Mark's not here tonight. He takes Friday nights off. We've got Daryl and Ellen in the studio, but go ahead with your thoughts, Tom.
Well, you guys have heard me on the March 22nd issue where I had damn near the SWAT team at my front door to try to break into my house because somebody called, as I found out in the reports down the road, that they claimed they had a noise violation.
Okay,
well, so now it continues. I have a woman across the street that is angry with me because I would not help her jump her car, as I told you about, in the coldest night we've ever had in Michigan, 12 below zero. And so now it doesn't matter. Today I came home, I cranked up my stereo, I walked around the entire neighborhood, I went and knocked on everybody's door, and of course the girl that I figured was calling did not answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not hear anything. Even my dad next door was sleeping because the cops came again. They were here last night. They were here today. I won't speak to them.
So what you're saying is you turned up your stereo system, you cranked it up, and then you went out to your neighbors' front doors and you listened to see if you could hear it at the front doors of your neighbors?
And actually knocked on their doors and asked, what was my claim or my question? Do you hear that? And they were like, what? Okay, thank you. So, and of course, the girl that I have been suspecting of doing this, and like I said a couple of weeks ago, you guys heard me tell you the story.
Now, is this the same? You've called a few times. Is this the same person who's running a drug house?
That I was suspecting that's next door, and I was suspecting them, but the dopers moved out yesterday because I know the car they have, and it disappeared. So 2 days ago.
Oh, there you go.
So. And now when I went and directly knocked on the girl who I thought the welfare recipient, as I told you I didn't jump her car on the coldest night of the year, who I'm figuring is angry with me, sure enough, she wouldn't answer her door. I heard her dogs and she quieted them, yada, yada. And I didn't expect the cops to come. This is 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
And here, fortunately, you got to hear this one. Last night when they came, I'm not a real religious guy. But I do sound. I'm a sound company here in Detroit area.
Okay.
And I did some sound for a Christian guy, Rufus Harris, who has the most awesome CD. I don't like listening to God and Jesus and all this, but it is such an awesome CD. I was playing that when the cops came up last night, so they're hearing all this Jesus and all this stuff going on, and they had to wait for a break to come on, and they beat the crap out of my door. And again, I didn't go there to answer. But again, it happened tonight. Not tonight. At about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, and as I said, so now, let's get back to it. The question was, if we are a libertarian society, or as Marlene puts it, a DRO, the dispute resolution organization, how do we deal with a neighbor that is so upset with no matter what peep I make, because our laws are very vague, she calls the police, and they have to come.
I don't know about a DRO. You're talking about something envisioned by one libertarian-minded thinker, Stefan Molyneux. The idea of a DRO is some sort of private defense company, essentially something
dispute resolution organization,
something to replace the police. Ultimately,
to where my understanding is that it's basically a new sort of social contract thing, but you actually sign a copy of it.
Well, right. I mean, without using jargon like DRO, I think that just contracts tend to be the answer to the question. We already have the solution, and in a lot of areas, many people have implemented that solution. It's called private neighborhoods with deed restrictions. If privacy and quiet is important to you, you should be living in a place where other people have that same value. There are many places.
Can I jump in? Yeah. In our city right now, our actual ordinance is so vague that it says that if you're standing on your front porch and you're singing and you bother someone, that you can be ticketed. But on the second hand, we have all these bars on the lake, and they have now implemented a dB meter reading. And as I just told you, I'm in the sound business, and I completely understand this. So they have a rating, a noise level.
Right.
If I started my lawnmower in front of my house from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m., that'd be legal. And I guarantee you that dB level is way above what my stereo can produce.
You're saying it would be legal to run a lawnmower, or you would violate the noise ordinance by running a lawnmower?
No. From 7 a.m. till 10 p.m., you can run a lawnmower. And if I chained a lawnmower to my porch and fired that thing up and let it run, as I'm listening to my stereo, you would never audibly hear my stereo. So that's
just to clarify, the noise ordinance about stereo. So there's like an exemption for lawnmowers, or some sort of housework if you're banging or whatever on a hammer, etc. That sort of thing, making noise doing housework, that's exempted. But you're saying during daylight hours having a stereo cranked up is illegal?
I think what he's saying is that the ordinances are so vague that like any noise you make can be considered a violation of somebody else's like.
But you're saying that there are some noises that are more equal than others.
After 10 p.m. or before 7 a.m. So if you're cutting your grass at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're violating the noise ordinance.
What I'm asking about is during the 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. time frame, are there prohibitions on noises besides housekeeping kind of noises?
If you guys really want to see a comical ordinance, look up the city of St. Clair Shores, Michigan, 48080, and it literally says anything, literally standing on your porch, it literally says that, and singing. If it bothers someone, it must cease and desist.
Wow. It's crazy.
So that's why right now she's been able to have these cops, and that's my question. What do I do? I actually went around, introduced myself to everyone again.
Well, I think that was a good thing to do, and it's so far the police haven't ticketed you yet, have they?
No, they came tonight, and again, I never answered my door. I never.
Well, there you go. It seems like you're doing the right thing. Besides leaving Detroit, thanks for the call, Tom. We can talk more about defense and what would happen in a free market in moments.
Do you owe the IRS money that you can't pay? Are tax liens and levies ruining your life? Are you tired of being afraid just to go to the mailbox? If this describes you, then Dan Pilla can help.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla, and I've been solving tax problems for more than 30 years. In fact, I wrote the book that made it possible to negotiate settlements with the IRS, and I've helped thousands of people do exactly that. Call now at 800-346-6829 to learn how I can help you. You know your IRS debt will not go away by itself, but you don't have to live in fear anymore. New changes to IRS policies will help more people than ever before eliminate their debts once and for all. There's no need for you to suffer another day with IRS debt. Call 800-346-6829. I can help you eliminate wage and bank levies, release tax liens, and negotiate a settlement with the IRS that will put your tax nightmare behind you forever. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, taxhelponline.com. That's taxhelponline.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Anyone can publish on the internet, but not everyone is publishing material suited for online reading. According to the Yahoo Style Guide, it cautions that internet content has a few seconds, 3 or less, to encourage people to read more, to take action, or navigate to another one of your pages. So make it easy for readers to pick and choose. Isn't that the way you poke around online? Use short words, short sentences, short paragraphs, bulleted lists, and short pages. Front load what you write, putting the most important information at the beginning of headlines and paragraphs and sentences. Same goes for your keywords, what someone would likely type into the search box on Yahoo or Google. For more tips on communicating better online or in a job interview or everyday life, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves here. Do it toll free at 855-450-FREE, whether you want to talk about vice or bad neighbors, how to deal with noisy neighbors without the government. A lot of people think they're going to call the state, and that's going to solve their problems with their neighbors. And I would hope that we can find more creative solutions, more peaceful solutions. We can talk about that here in a moment. And, Mother's Day is coming up. I just want to let you know about a heck of a deal that's about to expire in mere hours from now. If you're listening to our voices live, you can still get this deal from Sherry's Berries. You get 40% off their regular price of freshly dipped strawberries, starting at just $19.99. Now, these are enormous, fresh, juicy, mouth-watering berries topped in white milk and dark chocolatey goodness with chocolate chip toppings, decorative swizzle, or nuts. You cannot fail with Sherry's Berries. It's so delicious. The product is so good, and we've had them here multiple times at the Free Talk Live studios. I am a huge fan of this. Plus, I'm also a fan of doubling the berries. Now, $19.99 for the several giant dip strawberries is a pretty good deal, but doubling the berries is an even better deal for just $10 more. And you can do that. You can order either one of those deals by clicking on the microphone in the upper right-hand corner of berries.com and use the code FTL to get you access to the special pricing. That's berries.com. Click the mic, type in FTL. It also gets us credit for sending them the business here as Mother's Day approaches next weekend. So this offer expires at midnight tonight. I'm not sure if that's Eastern time or Pacific, so do it sooner rather than later at berries.com.
BERRIES. That's berries.com. Click the mic, type in FTL, and get that deal.
So I have an idea for the last caller who had an incident with his neighbor. Maybe he could just go next door, have a little chat, maybe bring over some of these chocolate-covered strawberries.
Ooh.
That might smooth the tension a little bit.
That is an excellent suggestion, although she's not answering the door at this moment, so that's a problem. Maybe
okay, so mail her some stuff.
If she, right.
If he ships her the strawberries
with a note or something.
Or he could buy something from the Silk Road that might make her calm down.
Or he could just go next door and talk to her without the strawberries.
The problem is she's not answering the door. How do you talk to a neighbor who won't talk to you?
You put on a clown mask and pretend that it's Halloween. And just bang on the door in June and say, trick or treat.
But seriously,
I think then they'll answer the door because they think you're a crazy person.
A little bit of bribery can go a long way, Ellen. I think the Sherry's Berries solution is a good one. I mean,
I don't know if it's bribery. I'd say it's more just like, I'm sorry, I feel bad for creating this tension here. Let's just be friends.
Even though, of course, it wasn't him that created the tension. It was the neighbor who created the tension in the first place by calling the police. But, it doesn't hurt to apologize, eat a little bit of crow, even if it's not your fault in the first place, just to try to make things better with people. But I think that just to further go on here, and we'll take your calls at 855-450-FREE. What would you do? What could be done differently? First of all, today in the situation with the neighbor upset about noise, allegedly, he's saying he couldn't hear his stereo system. He cranked it up. He was standing on her front porch. He couldn't hear it. So he thinks she is just calling the police to harass him. And he may be very well correct in his beliefs because he thinks she's upset because he did not give her a jump one night when it was very, very cold, and now she's trying to get him back for that. It sounds plausible. So what would you do in that situation today? But also, what would this situation look like in the absence of this monopoly on force that we have, known as the police department? And, of course, the kind of standard answer, I think, is deed restrictions and private neighborhoods. There are all kinds of ridiculous rules that people have to obey when they're in private neighborhoods. Personally, I don't want to live in one of these places, but for somebody for whom privacy is important and or quiet is important, or the color of your neighbor's houses are important, or the size of their shrubs and their grass and all these other ridiculous things, you can go and move into a private neighborhood and you can sign a covenant, an agreement with your other neighbors where 100% of the people in that private neighborhood have agreed that after 6 p.m. or whatever, there will be no sound emitting from people's homes or whatever. And that, to me, is the way to solve that. People deliberately moving together with people who have a similar mindset.
Excuse me, sir. The contract in this deed-restricted neighborhood says that your door is to be white. Your door is eggshell. We're going to have to ask you to paint that.
Now, is that from a movie? Or is that actually, like, real life? Or
no, there are things to where, you can only have certain shades of certain colors. And if it's not that specific shade, then they will come over and fine you and make you paint your house.
There are penalties
to the specifications.
Right. I mean, some of these places you've got to pay for a membership at their golf club, even if you never play golf. I mean, there's all kinds of just ridiculous. I was in one neighborhood once where I was at a friend's house late at night. It was not that late. It was in the evening. And apparently there was some rule that you can't have a truck. I was driving a truck at the time. You cannot have a truck parked outdoors.
And you're not talking about like a 18-wheeler semi truck.
Pickup truck.
So how is that different from a car in this situation?
It's a truck.
Because trucks have a bed.
Right.
Could you have an El Camino?
You have extra storage room. So station wagons. What about those?
No, station wagons, not a truck.
Because they're covered. What if it was a covered truck?
There are covered trucks too, so yeah, I imagine they would probably.
But station wagon, not a truck.
Yeah. Station wagon doesn't have a bed, so even if it's a covered bed, it would probably. Anyway, they left a threatening note. Like, I wasn't even there that late after the time expired, like 6 o'clock or whatever the time was. And, I left 45 minutes later, and there was a threatening note on my truck saying that next time they're going to tow me.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, they take that stuff pretty seriously. And then it's rules like that make me want to have nothing to do with deed-restricted neighborhoods. I mean, these people are neighborhood Nazis. They're constantly coming up with new rules by which to rule other people's lives, and I want nothing to do with that. I'd rather take my chances and live out with the free people and take whatever noise ordinances might...
In a place without zoning?
Or noise issues. Yeah, no zoning, please. I mean, there's actually towns in New Hampshire where there's no zoning.
Yeah.
So it's not like it can't be done.
Houston has no zoning. Houston is one of the 10 largest cities in the country, and they don't have zoning.
Now, to be fair, some of the suburbs apparently do have zoning in Houston.
Right, but the suburbs are not part of the city of Houston. They're different jurisdictions, different municipalities.
So 855-450 free. You're welcome to share your thoughts with us. Brian is in Louisiana. You're on Free Talk Live, Brian.
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles. How you doing?
Aha! I was tricked by the L.A.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your
There you
thoughts.
go. Hey, first of all, Sherry's Berries. I became more of a romantic person last Valentine's Day because I bought those. So they're very good product.
For whom did you buy them?
For my wife.
And what'd she think?
I've been accused. She loved them. I've been accused of not being romantic enough, and that brought me up a few notches by doing that. So
excellent.
Hey, on Wednesday, you and Brett Mark were talking about compassion, libertarianism, or bringing up the, making people think that we weren't just all, bad and didn't like the poor and stuff like that. And I was wondering on the conversation, is it really something that we need to do? Because libertarianism, voluntarism, anarcho-capitalist, however you want to do it, that charity is more of a personal thing. But when you start trying to apply it to a group, you're sort of doing collectivism. Collectivism being that you're going to have to try to get a group of people to act a certain way, and that means there's somebody needs to direct the charity, and then you start slowly creeping into government. And I was wondering if you're trying to combine two different things by saying charitable libertarian, because it sort of creates a conflict just in trying to combine the two, that charitable is to say to the individual, and libertarian.
I am really confused about what it is you're actually saying right now.
It seems to me that he's saying that if a group of libertarians get together to do charity, then they're individuals doing charity. It's not libertarians organizing to be charitable.
Yeah. You were concerned about the perception that libertarians were having, that we need to raise the perception that we're not just selfish, because that the libertarians have that reputation.
They do. Yes.
And I was concerned by trying to raise it in the terms of libertarian, that you'd be creating a group sort of mentality, collectivism, and trying to direct people, because it's sort of like
I am not sure how it is that encouraging others to talk from a point of compassion when they're talking about the ideas of liberty is in any way collectivizing people into a group or creating a government. But if you want to hang on, Brian, we can bring you back and you can more better explain what you're getting at here, and we'd love to get Ellen's thoughts on this as well. More coming up on Free Talk Live in moments.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to begin? Do you fear your job is in jeopardy, or is your business income reduction keeping you awake at night? We're in the best time in 25 years to make a fortune in real estate without using your money or credit. My name is Ron LeGrand, and I've taught 500,000 people to do just that, and personally bought hundreds of houses myself. If you'll call 800-970-6156, 24 hours, and leave your information, I'll send you the first 500 callers my hot new CD, Foreclosure Fortunes, and my best-selling book to help you get started absolutely free. I'll show you how to build a six-figure income part-time with no previous experience and no license, even if you're a busy professional. Call 800-970-6156, 24 hours, and get my new book and CD free. That's 800-970-6156. Take your life back and make this your best year ever. Call 800-970-6156 now.
I'm a very bad man. And today I watched you leave for work. Then I kicked your door and took your stuff. Without a door devil reinforcing your door frame, it was like you invited me. Don't worry, I'll check back in a couple weeks. Once you've got new stuff.
Door Devils are available at participating Ace Hardware stores and locksmiths. Or visit doordevil.com.
Gentlemen, in search of $1 million smile that'll make them take notice, really get their attention? Then get the mud. My Magic Mud. The fluoride-free whitener with no chemicals, additives, GMOs, or bad taste. And safe to swallow. My Magic Mud detoxifies, reduces sensitivity, cleans and strengthens your teeth while it whitens. Comes as a powder for pure whitening power. Start looking good for that special someone. Get the mud now. mymagicmud.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's if I'm watching not a cable, just regular news, and they give me the news, and the next flash is two people fornicating, okay? And then every other word is F-U, a B-I-C, a hoe, and all this stuff, and penis. Do you think I need to say that? That's not acceptable no matter what. You're saying free airwaves for anything goes for anybody.
For public access, yes. That's exactly its purpose. That's the purpose of it.
Why not?
Do you want a red light in front of a cop?
Probably not in front of a cop because
All
he
right.
hurt
What's
me.
the same difference if you're going to have that kind of FU and seeing two people fornicating after they just said the weather is 92 degrees and 5 inches?
Wait, I think you're a little confused about something
No,
here.
I'm not confused.
Point of information.
You're trying to confuse people.
Let's clarify
free
then.
Airwaves are free within limits.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Take control toll free here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And Skype into the show at username LRN.FM. Joining you tonight in studio, Ian here.
Ellen.
And Daryl.
Ellen is here courtesy of her radio show. It's ALP, and it was formerly on LRN.FM on Saturday nights, but as of this week is no longer heard in that time slot. Unfortunately, due to the fact that one of the hosts has moved physically from the Keene area to about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes across the state, and she's really enjoying her new house, from what I understand. Allie, who is on Free Talk Live Monday nights, she's still making the trip all the way out here to do the show of Free Talk Live, but I guess coming out here late on a Saturday night probably was a little bit too much to ask, although she could have set up a studio there, and you guys are going to have a studio, but still just the timing, I guess, prevents you from doing the show live anymore on Saturday nights.
Yes. Well, since she's moved out to Elton Bay, and that's pretty far away, and I have to work on Sunday mornings,
Ooh,
so
yeah. Okay.
that it was just easier for us to change the time. So now it's going to be on Tuesday nights.
And you guys are going to record the show just as you currently do. So your listeners can go to alpshow.com, get more of Ellen there, and download the podcast, download whatever episodes you want. So you're still going to be podcasting the show. Is there talk about doing a live version with
I think we are going to
stream?
be you streaming it.
Okay.
Yes. So.
All right. So I'm sure once that begins, have you done your first new episode at the new location
No,
yet?
actually, that's going to be this Tuesday.
Okay.
We skipped last Tuesday, but we are going to be live streaming it. There's going to be a chat room. You'll still have the same features. You can still email us. We have the same email. We have the same Facebook page, everything. It's just going to be at a different time.
Okay, so alpshow.com, go there and get more. And I'm glad to hear that there's not going to be a lot of downtime, that you guys are going to be back up this week with a new show.
Yep.
Very cool.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Do you know your topic yet for this week?
No, I don't. I'm not even familiar with the new studio yet.
Oh, you haven't been there?
I looked at it.
Okay.
I didn't use it.
All right, cool. Well, looking forward to seeing what comes out of the new setup that you guys have. And again, alpshow.com. For more of Ellen and Daryl's over at fpp.cc. Brian is back with us in Not Louisiana, L.A. Brian, so just Let me see if I can recap what you said before, and you can correct me where I'm wrong, because I feel like I'm totally misunderstanding you. There was some conversation on the show a few nights ago about libertarians being looked at by a lot of people as these heartless bastards, these people who just don't care about others. They want people to die in the streets of sickness, and the elderly need to be out of nursing homes and just dying in the streets. And this is kind of this mistaken viewpoint, I think, of a lot of libertarians. But libertarians, some of them bring it on themselves by virtue of the fact that, they're, when they're communicating with people about the ideas of liberty, they don't necessarily come from a perspective of compassion. So instead of just saying they want to end, or what they might do is they'll say they want to end welfare. And to somebody who wants to help other people, saying you want to end welfare makes it sound like you don't care about people and that you want those people to have a tough time in life. But the other part of the statement should be that, well, if we could keep the money that we earned and decide where best to spend it, that private charities and organizations that are not government, private organizations, would be able to better take care of people than the government currently does. So really, the system that we're arguing for here, or the non-system, the lack of a system, would give more choice for helping people and be more compassionate. More people who actually need help who would get help, as opposed to people who are just mooching from the system. There are all kinds of things that we can say to show why it is that liberty is the most compassionate setup. Now, that was what I was saying the other night, but it sounded like you had understood that as advocating that everybody be, join some sort of libertarian charity. What did I get wrong about what you were saying?
No. What you said was very clear just now about that actually that liberty would provide the best way to do it. But when you were talking earlier about trying to change the people's viewpoint of libertarianism and try to make libertarianism compassionate, I think that's the problem, because it's just a philosophy of freedom and people have choices. So I think the way you just described it now, that it would free people to be compassionate. So it's not libertarians being compassionate, it's people being compassionate. Because every time I start talking about it, people start, if I start saying libertarians be compassionate, then my friends who don't understand the stateless society think there needs to be a leader and director and a way to collect the money and a way to distribute the money. And they get then they go, there needs to be government. So if I keep it down to the individual has a right to give who he wants to, people can understand that.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's other people that you found were having a tough time communicating how charity can take care of people?
Yes. And then second, you start saying that there would be a group of us, they think government. So I've just now taken it to individualize it and saying if the government gave you back, $10,000 of the $20,000, but at the same time told you that there was no more welfare and your neighbor needed food, would you use some of that money to give to them? And they said yes. And I say, well, there's probably lots of people like you out there, so we don't really need the government to do it.
And
good point.
There are a lot of people that do, self-organize to do charitable activities. Are you claiming that all of those people that organize into groups then form their own government to do the charitable thing?
No. Well, I guess you could define government by having a leader like that. But it's just they have a hard time when you start – people have a hard time imagining replacing the role of government in their head.
That much is true. I mean, it's been with us for so long, the idea of the state. And of course, as we touched on earlier, getting rid of the state is a scary idea to people. They don't know what that would look like, and they're quite frightened of it, as is evidenced by the existence of the Free Keene haters. Thank you, Brian, for your call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Any thoughts, Ellen?
Well, I think that if the state were removed from the equation, then people would feel more of a personal responsibility for the quality of their life. So if they wanted people around them to be happier, they would probably try to do something actively about that. And it's individuals doing this on an individual basis. And if they choose to form a group, I wouldn't say that that's like collectivizing all of libertarianism or anything. I mean, libertarianism, I wouldn't say it's a universal philosophy for people's lives. It's basically a way of looking at political activism. So if there is a libertarian that's like completely heartless, you can't generalize everyone that way. Most people that are
but people
in favor,
will, right? Like if the first libertarian they meet is a real a-hole, then they might think that libertarians are all a-holes. You shouldn't do that,
right, but that's
people
kind
will.
of like a logical fallacy.
Of course it is.
You can't generalize everybody based on one person that you meet or a specific group of people.
People will. That's
people
the thing.
do.
Yeah.
But you have to judge each situation in context.
I agree with you.
So.
You should do those things, but people certainly don't have to because they don't.
There's also the, I don't know, maybe it's deserved that a lot of libertarians are poor tippers.
Well, because they judge a person based on what value they provide, maybe. So if
because they're cheap.
is that what it is?
Because they're cheap and they don't understand social norms.
I usually tip well above 20%.
Above 20, usually I'll do 20 for good service, but tipping's it's easy to cut somebody some level of a break, at least understanding why they don't understand tipping, because it's confusing and like it was 15%, now it's 20%. And what do you do if you're not, at a restaurant? What if it's a haircut? What's the right tip here? What's the right tip in a cab? So tipping, I think, as a general topic, can be pretty confusing. But nonetheless, you can give some of these people feedback about their poor tipping, and they don't care. Right. And then at that point, the right thing to do is to stop going out with those people.
Right, but there's still the, again, it might be a well-deserved prejudice or whatever, or bias that libertarians are poor tippers based on just a few people.
Yes.
But they then, you're one of those libertarians, you're not going to tip me, so I'm not going to give you good service.
Well, I just want to get to the point here. Like, I am a libertarian. I hate it when people violate my rights in any way, shape, or form. But I will also help you out if you're my friend. Like, I give people rides all the time. I will voluntarily give things away if I like a person. And, like, I would consider myself pretty giving. So, like, there's nothing in libertarianism that says that you have to be a cold-hearted, like, selfish, greedy person.
Certainly not. And I think that many people in the liberty movement are very, very good people and very generous. It's just that there are certain people out there who are very poor at communicating these ideas, and they taint people's viewpoint of what a libertarian is.
Right. Well, acting in self-interest can also include acting in someone else's self-interest. It doesn't exclude it.
No, certainly. And giving to charity is a great way to feel good. I mean, a lot of people give to charity and they help organizations like that because it's a good thing to do that makes them feel warm and happy inside, and that's a fine motivation for doing something. We're out of time for tonight. You can join us online between now and tomorrow night's show. That's right, we do live Saturday and Sunday editions of Free Talk Live, 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time every night. That's our live hours. If you're not hearing us then, you can always call the show during those hours and listen to yourself later. We'll see you online in the meantime at freetalklive.com. Have a great night.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Are you looking for camping, hunting, survival, or shooting gear? ManVentureOutpost.com carries the name brands you want at the lowest prices. Ammunition, knives, firearm accessories, archery, air guns, scopes, binoculars, laser sights, tactical flashlights, fish finders, and boating equipment. ManVentureOutpost.com is family-owned and has the lowest prices. Go check it for yourself. Get it quick. Get it from ManVentureOutpost.com.
Now buy firearms at ManVentureOutpost.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
The Corey Moore Show is coming up next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, May 2nd, 2014. Silver is trading at $19.20 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,286 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $445. Antiwar.com reports, in talks with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Russian President Vladimir Putin suggested the best path to a resolution of the eastern Ukraine conflict would be for Ukraine to withdraw its military from the protester-held provinces and launch a broad national dialogue on reforms. Ukraine's government deployed the military there last month, with orders to liquidate the public protesters who were calling for increased autonomy for the eastern Russian-speaking region around Donetsk. The White House was quick to condemn the comments. They did not mention the fact that the White House has made literally the exact same demand of Russian troops near Ukraine's border for weeks now. Putin's call for Ukraine to stop the offensive seems, if anything, a way out for Ukraine's interim government, which conceded yesterday that its troops are helpless in retaking the region from the protesters. Ukrainian officials have also talked up keeping troops along the border for what they predict is the imminent start of World War III, anticipating fights with Russia. FPP Radio News is brought